Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Lawsplaining the Interwebs. I am your host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota. And with me for the opening hour of the show, and in a little bit longer if they want, but it's up to them. It's a weeknight. I have YellowFlash Guy and Tug. Welcome to the channel, guys.
Hey there. Hey there. Double hey there.
Just YellowFlash 2 on Twitter, or YellowFlash Guy on Twitter, YellowFlash 2 on YouTube. And yes, I know that that's dumb, but I'm terrible at coming up with names, and it was my second channel. So
Consistency.
I guess now it's my main channel because it's the biggest one.
Yeah,
maybe you need to make the other one too.
And links to Tug's channel and to YellowFlash's channel can be found in the description already. So if you are not subscribed to them, go check it out. Look, these guys have been covering this story. There are some others, of course, but these guys have been covering this story constantly. They are probably more informed than I am on the day-to-day happenings of it, and that is why I brought them on for the beginning, is to kind of catch up. I can't stress how crazy this case is and why no one is ready for what's going to happen. This case is moving a mile an hour. Wait, that doesn't sound fast, but that's really fast for legal work. It's really fast for the law. We'll make it 200 miles an hour, right? This thing is flying along. There are updates constantly. People are still talking about it. People are still making public statements. I mean, just in the past, 3-4 hours, Monica Rial has made a public statement and described her trauma. That's right? Is it just that recently?
The Monica one just came out today, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think this evening. But yes, so real quick for the Streamy chat, Drano asked, what case is this? We're talking about Vic Mignogna right now. This is the ongoing Me Tooing, depersoning of one of the most prominent anime dub actors in America, who has been building his career for about 20 years and has suddenly had a flood of people decide that he can no longer be employed in an industry that he's been employed in for quite a while for stuff that they've all apparently known about or experienced for years and years and years. Although now when he has a movie that is massively successful, when there is opportunity maybe for them to get some self-promotion and to move up the chain in their respective companies, suddenly his behavior has to come to light, and they all have to tell their stories. And the weird thing to me is all these stories are so freaking similar. Mm-hmm. I mean, goodness gracious, women wear hairnets apparently. No one,
really.
No one is safe.
And they're saying it happens in public too. You know, this is the weirdest thing about this is they keep telling us things that has supposedly happened around not just colleagues but fans. So if a dude walks up to you, grabs you by your hair, pulls you back and forth, and before he forcibly whispers something in your ear, you would think someone would see that, maybe tape it, and be like, "What in the hell went on there?"
Exactly.
Well, here's another one. This was my favorite allegation that I read, and I've read them just about all of them. I think like me and Tug went over on that one live stream, but my favorite one was that he was making out with a 14-year-old girl, not in an elevator, not in a stairwell, but at his booth in the middle of the convention.
That's fine. That's fine, because no one cares if a grown man is just shoving his tongue into the mouth of a 14-year-old child. I mean, that's not...
Everyone's gonna be fine with that, I guess.
Was this in Alabama? I mean, was this in Clinton's Arkansas? Was it the Arkansas convention? I don't know. Where would that not obviously garner immense amounts of attention? I don't attend conventions. Many of you have met Vic, right? You've gone to a convention and met him. My understanding is that his booth has a line 100 people deep for hours, hours of time.
He's one of the most popular dudes.
There's no way he is tonsil inspecting some child and not getting immediately murdered, right? Like that doesn't happen in public. And if it does, these conventions need to be burned to the ground. like what are we, furries? I'm just kidding. I know there's good furries out there. And speaking of that, real quick preview. Tomorrow night is my interview with Bonitis. We're going to be talking about the issues pervading the furry community and furry conventions. And then Thursday, I will be covering the Covington lawsuit for $250 million against the Washington Post. So stay tuned for that. But that's all I'm going to say about those things for now. But let's get back into this. Okay, so guys, can you help me out? Some big stuff happened today. We had an IO9 article drop. So Gizmodo has finally given their complete hot take, which we all know if it's coming from Gizmodo, it's definitely in support of Vic and is really going to be hard-hitting investigative journalism to get to the truth of the matter, and certainly not just like a giant noose looking for a tree. I mean, it wouldn't be that, would it?
No, you definitely summed it all up. We can just stop right here. It was so good. You know?
It was like reading a trashy, those novels at Walmart that it's like basically reading porn for females.
Yeah. The romance novels.
Yeah, it's like a bad creative writing article.
Well, they need this kind of stuff. If you look at their numbers on it right now, they've had 124,700 shares on that. I mean, when does Gizmodo? When do they actually get that much attention? You know, they might have to buy it, otherwise. But right now, as long as they go out and they heft accusations, and they did, they linked to stuff that has been totally disproven. They linked to some. Yeah, I mean, just some of the accusations that have floated around in the past. There is literally a place where people go and they troll. They make up things like, hey, I fell asleep under a table and Vic Mignogna, he put up his feet on my back and he was making out with a girl on one arm and his feet on me. And then he was like, I woke up and he was saying, just take a nap, just go back to sleep. You can tell it's trolling. And they link to that side, because that's serious.
And that's the best type, really. It would only be better if his feet were individually making out with two other underage girls. That's how you really know. That's how you know you really hit it. So
he's trapping him with his toes. You're like, oh Lord.
Well, you know what I find funny is every time we look at this stuff, there's always connections to these channel awesome people. Just like that whole article, as Tug sent me the tip on it, was a big connection to Mars Girl going all the way back to 2014 on our Twitter timeline. And then once again, big connections to the old Channel Awesome crew, Mars Girl, the writer of that article, so like citing Anime News Network in there. It's almost like a collusion.
It's like collusion and getting out of the legal side and into the practical side. We're gonna do some Ultramarines. You guys know a little bit of Warhammer, right? Ultramarines have they follow the Codex Astartes to the letter. It was written by their Primarch Robute Gilliman, and they go through these theoretical and practical exercises. So you have a theoretical, and then you have your practical, which is obviously the actual situation that you have in front of you. And so you apply the theoretical to the practical. We're going to do a lot of that tonight as we go on, but here's some practical from their side. Their practical is the amount of articles from big internet publications that they can put out with the same tags, with the same citations, and cross-posting back and forth increases its SEO, increases its exposure. And that means that if you can get Polygon, weird, IO9, strange, and which is Gizmodo, and Anime News Network, and maybe a couple others to just go ahead and run some of those same keywords, those same tags, and maybe cross-reference each other, those things will shoot to the top of Google. And two things happen. One, it increases their traffic mutually, of course. And two, it fuzzes out the other traffic, which isn't being cross-posted by everybody else. So they're able to start dominating and controlling the narrative. And if you think that this isn't a collusive effort between these people, just look to the connections. Of course it is. Of course it is. They all know each other. They're using the same language. They're using the same stories, and they're just backpatting and grabbing onto each other to increase the clicks that come through. And of course, to decrease the amount of competing clicks that are out there. It's how SEO is done in a lot of ways. It's not always nefarious. It's just smart business because it takes advantage of the algorithms out there. So that, of course, is happening. Just what a disaster these people
And
are.
at the benefit of their short-term gain, they also attach his name for life on a Google search to a bunch of garbage.
Yep, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
the worst thing you can call somebody in society, you can call them a pedophile. I mean, they throw that around, like it's a leisurely activity, and that's troubling, especially if you go through that IO9 article. They tell you that there was an investigation into him before the Broly movie came out, and the investigation was inconclusive. It says that there. So what happened between there and right now? Oh wait, brigading on social media, articles from these folks. They turned him into a pedophile. They turned him into something so diseased that companies, they have to wonder, what are we going to do about this? And a lot of
Yeah.
companies, obviously they'll
Well,
cut ties.
that inconclusive investigation that comes before. So what do they do? 2 investigations? Because that's
I
not what
mean,
we heard. He was found. They said that they got rid of him based on it, and that one in the article says inconclusive. So I'm
Mhm.
confused here on if they did 2 or just the 1.
hey, this there's a lot to it. Apparently there was one investigation that was done allegedly prior to the release of Broly, and that was the inconclusive one. That's according to IO9. And then someone has claimed, or was it Funimation themselves who claimed, that there was a investigation that they decided, after they conducted their investigation, they decided to cut all ties. Yeah, Funimation said that,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Yep.
By the way, Funimation they're just doing swimmingly. They're doing so well in their corporate response to this.
The snake den.
Here's some inside legal baseball for how corporations run in the state of Texas. Texas is an at-will state, at-will employment, which means if you don't have a contract with someone, if you don't have a term contract, like we will employ you for the completion of this project, we will employ you for the next 12 months, 13 months, whatever it may be. If you don't have that kind of arrangement, then you're just an at-will employee. And if you're an at-will employee, here's how you fire someone. You're fired. Well, why? Because you are. That's it. You're at will. We don't need to work with you. You don't need to work with us. You can separate at any time. There's nothing anybody ever needs to say about it. So they have every right to terminate Vic for completing an investigation and finding something bad or not. What they shouldn't, I shouldn't say, they do have the right to say this. It just might be a really stupid thing to say, is to say, we don't condone harassment, or we conducted an investigation and then fired him, because the public has no reason to know this. They don't need to know their internal policies. And what it does is it casts a negative light. Like, let's say after an investigation, they turned up nothing, but then decided to fire him. And they state, after the investigation, we decided to cut ties with Vic Mignogna. Well, the implication then would be that they came up with something during the investigation. So
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing.
Right. But whether or not they did is absolutely irrelevant to their ability to fire him, which means that unless they came up with something, and I mean, at that point, you better have something really good, because now you have implicated the man's reputation. And that damage done by that statement from a company with millions of dollars that just so happened to have just been purchased right before this by a multinational, multi-billion dollar powerhouse has a lot of money to go after. They have an absolute fortune to go after.
From what I've got, so quick shill for my video tomorrow morning. I go through the people that have worked at Funimation, their history, and we find out one common theme is that the management at Funimation is quite incompetent. And as far as what came up for the investigation, from what I've been told, and I can't say, where I'm getting that stuff, is that people pretty much went up to them and said, if you don't get rid of them, we're going to walk.
Oh yeah.
And that was the investigation right there. That was the second investigation. They fired him because a bunch of people were complaining about it.
That wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. Go ahead, Tug. What were you going to say?
What does it say when, okay, we had that false swatting, pretty much yesterday, right? And the person that makes the false swatting accusation, if you go by Mars Girl, she said in her statement, I highly suggest you read the account of one voice actor who took part in Funimation's investigations. So a person that is willing to go to the level burning down people, by alleging a swatting that did not transpire. What does that say about their involvement in an investigation? How thorough, how good can that be?
What I can tell you is what I would do with that. What I would do with that is I would sit that wonderful individual down for a nice long deposition. And I would say, isn't it true that after this event, isn't it true that after this event you claim to be swatted on Twitter? Well, yes. Isn't it true that those photos were actually from a different event in 2016 that had nothing to do with it? Well, yes. So isn't it true that you misrepresented the swatting event to Twitter? Yes. And make them sit there and say all of that. And then you get to take that deposition and you get to go right to the people who conducted the alleged investigation in their deposition. Isn't it true you relied on testimony from this person? Yes. Were you aware of this? Did you decide to authorize the release of this information? You just start hammering through this stuff. And this is the theoretical versus the practical that I was talking about. There's the theoretical, you can go after this person for defamation. You can go after this person for interference of contract. You can do that. But here's the practical. Every single person who gets named is going to have to sit with a pissed off attorney who is chomping at the bit to get these people to say the wrong thing. And they're going to just have to answer every single question. And the best part is they have to pay their attorney for the pleasure of getting raked over the coals by the other attorney. So,
well, that's okay for Mars Girl because she has quite the history of crowdfunding. I'm sure she'll be e-begging her way away, her lawyer fees away there on Twitter real soon. That's a quick prediction.
she better get to work. She better get to work.
She e-begged for her wedding.
That's embarrassing.
And an oil change.
An oil change. Did she fulfill both? I'm just curious,
Which one was more expensive? That's what I want to know.
There you go.
Oh my goodness.
There was also Sean Schimmel. We had all that swatting stuff that came up, and before it ended, he decided he would go alpha male. I loved his comment too. I mean, let me find.
I'll show you his beta.
Yeah, I'll show you. Yeah. Well, today he ends all of his stuff. Let me throw this comment out there.
Yeah.
It's so awesome. So my DMs are always open. You think I'm beta? Write me. I'm not messing around. I've been in touch with law enforcement already. Next step's the FBI. I was like, so wait a minute, you're going to call Mama Popo on us you're so masculine. You're going to get them to fight your fight. Awesome.
That's great. I also found out some enterprising people just went ahead and contacted the police in his area to see if there was any sort of SWAT call or any sort of SWAT response. And of course, no. Of course not. He made that up right after finding out that the other person's was made up. He just went ahead and made up his own. Gosh, everybody, if his DMs were open, everybody should have just, this is a joke. Don't actually do this. I'm not advocating it. This is a joke. Good God. Everybody should have just sent him a clip of Jesse Lee Peterson. Beta.
I actually wrote him. I was like, hey there. I did it on live stream. Hey there. I was wondering. You said for people to write you and call you beta. I was wondering if you show them how manly you were by calling him Mama Popo. You think that's a crime? Oh, you beta. That's funny. So I wrote him on live stream.
Somebody
And
said
then,
my mic was low. Do I sell them low?
No, I don't think so.
I might have. Hold on, both of you guys. We're gonna do it live. Give me some tests.
Hey
there.
Hey there. Hey there.
Hey there. Yeah, you got louder.
No, you guys are both right about where I am. So on my level, so I can boost you just a little bit. Just don't blow anybody's ears out.
Everyone found that funny.
Oh, okay. Let me take a quick second. We got to shill, right? We got to shill this. This is the GoFundMe. I got to update the amount for Vic Mignogna. We're at $7,054. Listen, I set up this GoFundMe this afternoon. It's doing very, very well. 4 hours. We're at $7,054. It's over $1,000 an hour. That is great. We are shooting for that $100,000 goal because, guys, this litigation could cost that much. Now, GoFundMe you don't have to reach your goal to get paid out or anything like that. But I wanted people to understand. And I think after this live stream, if you watch me lay out the legal strategy, you'll understand why it could cost $100,000. But this is the important part. Please like and share this. Even if you can't donate, please share it. Very, very important.
Tab on my channel.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much. Just get the word out. I know some people were talking about on Twitter how they couldn't afford to donate. That's fine. If you can't afford to donate, don't do that. No one's asking anybody to go into debt to help out Vic. Just share it. If you support him, just share it. That's all anybody's asking to do. There are people out there with extra money who want to help out with this fight, and let them do it. Okay. So you can read this on your own. I'm not going to read through, but there's one point that's really super important. I am not representing Vic in a legal capacity. I'm not his lawyer. I can't be his lawyer. He's out of my jurisdiction. If he asked me to be his lawyer, I would say no. Because, one, out of my jurisdiction. Two, I'm one guy and I do my own very small practice. Vic has enemies, opponents, whatever you want to call them. He's got them at all levels of income. He's got them in multiple jurisdictions. He's got them from, as I lay out in here, from boring bloggers to multi-billion-dollar corporations. He's got people who need to be identified and all of that stuff. I deal with very small stuff, the normal stuff that you and I might run into. Someone gets in a car accident. Someone is charged with possession of marijuana. That's the stuff I do. The firm that Vic has, and I do know the firm that Vic has, I know who they are. I am in contact with them in regards to setting up this GoFundMe, okay? So they are a firm that is much more capable of dealing with something like this than I am. So there's no reason for me to represent Vic. It would not be helpful for me to represent Vic. I am merely running this GoFundMe campaign and helping out in that way. The other important thing I want to hit, and this is the last bit about the GoFundMe. For now, I'll do this again later in the show. But I did post an update because I got confirmation and authorization from Vic directly to state that any excess fees or any excess funds that come in that are above the cost of the litigation. I mean, for example, let's say they sue they sue who they're going to sue and they settle it out by the end of the week or something like that. Obviously, fees are going to be much less than if they sue 15 people and it goes on for a year, right? Very different price structures. Any excess fees that come into the GoFundMe will be donated to one of the Salvation Army, and I put this in quotes because this is the quote, one of the Salvation Army Dallas domestic violence and abuse shelters in Dallas County, Texas. So if your contributions do overfund his legal offense, then they will be donated appropriately. They're not going to line Vic's pockets. I get 0% cut. The only cut out of this goes to GoFundMe. They have their transaction fees. That's it. So this money will never touch my bank account, will not touch a bank account that my law firm is associated with. Let me dispel all of that right now. It will be going into a legal trust account that will be managed by the law firm. or a trustee that is hired by the law firm, however it decides to work out, to take care of those funds. They will be dealt with in an ethical way. Guys, any fees that lawyers take in have very specific rules attached to them. And for me to mismanage this and to even risk mismanaging this by taking it into my own account would put me at risk for disbarment. I'm not going to do that. That's stupid. So I just want to be very clear on how the funds are being handled, and I will be as transparent as possible within the bounds of privilege. Right? I can't share any privileged information or confidential information, but I will share as much as possible. So thank you for hearing me out on that. It is GoFundMe.com/Vic-Kicks-Back. Thanks to whoever came up with that hashtag. And that is also, it's in the description. It's the top link, even above the Justice Chat link. So, so check it out. All right. Sorry, guys. I didn't mean to stomp all over that, but it seemed like a good time to talk about it.
No, actually, that's actually a great. We've finally been talking about doing something, and we're doing something. So it's actually good. I was glad to hear of the news when when you started talking about it yesterday. I thought, hell yeah, finally.
I'm glad to see. I mentioned it in my video that it's time to. I mean, this is what we need to do. We need to take these people to court. We don't need to get violent with these people. We need to put liens on their tax returns and their cars. We need to make them have long-term consequences for doing this kind of garbage.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's the only way to stop us. I mean, it's the only way to stop them, because otherwise, they get worse all the time. Because if a false swatting or a false bomb threat, or they can't ruin your life that way. What's next? What will they try to attach to you? It's all about destroying careers, and they're getting good at it. The early stuff. You look at them. This trial and error that this SJW type nonsense has gone through. I mean, they failed as often as they succeeded, but like I said, they're getting better at it. They understand how to use media. They understand how to use social media, and somebody's got to step on their throats before, again, legally, not actually step on their throats. I better clarify that.
Yeah, we got to be very careful because everybody's on edge and on eggshells, and not on literal eggshells. I wouldn't want anyone to get an infection if they happen to get a scrape from an eggshell. Certainly not advocating eggshell violence on anyone. But of course, this is a heated and emotional thing. The fact that there's already fake swattings really does amplify the sort of attention that's happening here. And so, yeah, we do need to be a little careful. Know that let's get this disclaimer out of the way. None of us are advocating any sort of violence or harassment of any kind. Actually, I think it's more profitable if people do not engage any of these people. Don't try to get them to talk. Don't try to call them out on their BS or whatever it is. There's no purpose to that. There's a lot of purpose in letting them say what they're going to say. There's not any reason for people to attack or harass or bother or give any ammunition to anyone else. Please don't do that. I know someone was asking me to do something, which I don't know what I can do, about some fake accounts being created that were doxing like Monica Rial's phone number and address. Guys, don't do that either, of course. I mean,
it doesn't make anybody look good.
Right.
That doesn't make Vic look good. That doesn't make us look good. I was trying to, help out with this shit. Don't do that because it just paints everybody bad. You know how they work? When you do that, they lump everybody in with it.
Yep, absolutely. And we frankly have no idea who's doing this. It could absolutely be someone on their side. Absolutely. We don't know. They've already faked 2 swatting accounts. I don't put it past them to fake docs, right?
I saw the account I Am Supergirl.
Yeah.
I believe that's it. She actually exposed who was doing it. I think that she managed to find that person. She's very good at finding things.
Good.
What's the account?
I think it's I Am Supergirl. I think that's
is it at I Am Supergirl?
Yeah, I think so. I could send it to you later.
Okay.
Or probably Tug can send it to you, one of the two. But yeah. And of course, one more point of order to address. A lot of people have been asking me to bring on certain people and to have them on the show. I'm not opposed to that. It's not going to happen today. I've got Tug and YellowFlash for the update here, and then I'm going to go heavy into the legal stuff. There's going to be plenty of talk about Vic and the other people coming up. So if there are people who need to come on and talk about it, I'm open to do that. But today this is going to be some rackets time. This is going to be rackets time in a little bit, because we're gonna have some fun, and maybe, I mean, there might be people watching. Let's just say there might be people watching who aren't on Vic's side, so to speak, and there might be some things that they'll want to see from this video, to kind of give them an idea of what might be coming for their side, and so, you know, I encourage them to stick around and watch and maybe listen, because they may want to know what hypothetically could happen in a case like this. Because I have a feeling that even though some of them have suggested that they have attorneys and that they're being advised by attorneys, based on their actions, maybe they're not being advised. And if they are, they should maybe consider firing those attorneys, because they've not been acting in a very smart manner in the situation they're in. Because I think they genuinely think this is all pretend still.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they think social media is real life. They think at the end of the day, you can go out, you can do whatever the hell you want, and there is going to be, you know, nothing, no price to pay in the end of it. And, you know, this is the perfect way to wake some people up to that.
Yeah, they think they think Twitter is real life. They really do. It's it's crazy, and they think that they all think they're law experts and they know everything. They know it all. Experts in bird law, maybe.
We're getting raided by Hero Hey. Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Welcome to the show.
Ah, good dude. He'll be on the stream Friday, and maybe Nick.
Yeah, if I can work it out, I will be on the show on Friday. I just have to clear it with the with the family and make sure I have availability. But if so, I will definitely be there. And I'm happy. I'm gonna be happy to meet Hero, because a lot of people have suggested I talk to him, so I definitely do want to do that, and I want to get him on it too. Yeah, I want to get him on this show sometime soon as well. Okay, so we've got the I-09 thing, and yeah, that investigation line, man, where he was cleared of an investigation. That's going to come into my legal strategy talk that's coming up very much. I mean, I can preview it now. If they investigate him and he was cleared because it was inconclusive, and then they released the movie, and then the brigade started again, it sure starts to look like conspiracy. It starts to look like, and I've said this before, legal conspiracy is two people working together to advance a civil cause of action. That's all it is. It's not like this dark cabal in a smoky room or something crazy like in the movies. Civil conspiracy is just two people talking about harming someone else in a serious manner. So if two people decided to get together, and it sure looks, it sure looks like Channel Awesome has its fingers on a whole lot of these very same things. It almost looks like there's a lot of messages there that have been exchanged between parties from Channel Awesome. That alone looks like a conspiracy, much less anyone they may have talked to at Funimation, who might have wanted Vic out prior to all of this, and then were denied, and then got butthurt about it and came back after him with these allegations in a public manner. That kind of looks a lot like conspiracy too. And so we're going to talk about who's involved in that. And the coolest part of conspiracy, guys, is that you don't have to do the action to be implicated in conspiracy. All you have to do is help talk about it or facilitate it. So I know there's some employees of like Funimation and Rooster Teeth who maybe haven't said anything, but might have been behind the scenes supporting some of this. Guess what, guys? That's a conspiracy.
And we're documenting it all.
Ebro S, what is the punishment for legal conspiracy? Well, it depends. It depends. They are partially liable for the civil cause of action. So the punishment, as is in almost every civil case, money, money, money. hope you got it. Hope you got it. Even if you win, I hope you got money, because it's not going to be cheap.
They have to get a couple more roommates. A couple more roommates offset the cost.
Yeah, that would be good. That would be good. maybe they can all live in the same recording studio. They just sleep on cots, put the cots outside while they record. I don't know.
It's been interesting to see, at least one convention still stand up so far and say, "Hey, we're not gonna back down from this." It's got to be hard to be anybody out there that's actually in that industry, especially as Funimation disconnects, as Rooster Teeth, with all these other places. It's got to be really difficult for them. So kudos for that.
Oh, hey, Tug, you're in business in capacity. What do you make of Funimation's statement firing Vic?
I looked at it and I'm baffled by a company going out and saying anything about like that, because you can do an investigation behind the scenes. And in fact, HR, for anyone who thinks that HR would have been there for Vic or corporate lawyers are there for Vic, no, they're there for the company. They are there to protect you. So, I mean, that you have to clarify that for sure. And any company, if you're in an at-will, I'm in an at-will state, and I've been involved in investigations before, and there's no way in hell I would come out and basically damage what we could do legally by going out and going against every piece of lawyer advice. God, I mean, that was the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Oh, I can't even imagine. I mean, let's say you catch an employee in a fist fight with another employee. It's documented. You have video of it. You let them go. The next employer calls up and says, "Hey, did this guy work for you?" Yeah. What happened? Well, he ended his employment on this date. Was he terminated? We don't really want to discuss that. His employment ended on this date. Because if you say, actually, we terminated him after he got into a fist fight with his colleague, and it turns out the other guy maybe swung first or provoked it in any way, boom, defamation, tortious interference with business prospects. You're done. You're done. So you just shut your mouth. Because even if you win that suit, you're out 40 grand fighting it.
Mm-hmm.
So it is, I think, emblematic of this community and of the social justice and virtue signaling mindset that is pervading these cultures, because they just don't seem to know how any of this works. They don't seem to have, it's like they're not run by business people. They're run by artists.
That's what I've been finding, is that they're a bunch of wannabe movie stars. The higher up execs are so busy running around, trying to go into like whatever red carpets they can be on. And they're just not running. Like, there's a big disconnect between upper management and lower management and the employees. It's like the theme that I see is that it's just a lot of incompetence running around. And one place, one person called it Funimation. You should be watching ... your back.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It just looks like they have no idea what they're doing. They don't seem to do it. If I was the lawyer for Funimation, I would be, doing this number every hour, every time one of these people opens their mouths. The fact that they haven't clamped down on this stuff is nuts. Can you guys help me out here? I've heard so many different stories, and I think you guys might know better. So these voice actors don't just hold voice acting roles in the companies, right? Like they have some sort of position, maybe even management positions. Is that correct? Do we know anything about that?
Well, I'd have to actually. I haven't looked at that, to be honest. I haven't.
Yeah, I haven't. Yeah, I'm still catching up on a lot of stuff.
Okay.
My DMs are a mess.
Well, okay. Let's take. Give me a voice. Person. Yeah, give me a voice actor. Let's do Sean
Monica
Schemmel.
Rial. I mean, we could look at Monica. See if she's connected to anything else.
Yeah, you look up Monica. I'm gonna look up Sean Schemmel. I feel like I read something. His is maybe, was it Chris? Sorry, guys. We're doing this on the fly because that's how we go.
Well, like some of these people are indeed connected to company, or the people that they're in
like
relationships with are.
Chris Sabat. Chris Sabat is an American voice actor, producer, line producer, and ADR director at Funimation. So he has roles beyond just.
Producing. He directs all of the voice casts.
Oh yeah, okay. I thought you were high up there. Like, are they up in like management or something? I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question.
The interesting thing about Sean is he doesn't live. I think he's one of the few that don't live in Texas.
Let's see. Okay, so Sean doesn't live in Texas.
That's what I was told. He doesn't live in Texas. I think he lives maybe in LA. Not sure, but he's one of the couple that don't live there. And from what I hear, that's for the best.
Okay, so Monica Rial is a voice actress, ADR director, and script writer, according to Wikipedia, which is a wonderful, wonderful source, I know. But it's what we've got on the fly here. So what does an ADR director do? Do you guys know that?
I'm looking it up.
They do dubbing. Yeah.
They do what?
Dubbing, mixing.
Are they involved in any casting decisions?
Probably. To an extent, but Chris Sabat would be. So like a quick thing real quick on the history of Funimation, which actually from being a fan of Dragon Ball for so long, is a lot of these guys, when Funimation broke off from Saban, where they lost a lot of their money. So all of these guys that are like big actors there now were nobodies, like literally off the street. So when they went there to do the voices, they would probably had to learn other things like voice mixing and production, all that. They were probably doing multiple jobs.
Sure.
And we're probably all, I would imagine Sean, Chris Sabat, the old schoolers that have been with DBZ for the long haul have a lot of upper management power there.
Yeah, so let's go through something real quick. I pulled up, just as a hypothetical, a Texas Supreme Court case. This is Hammerly Oaks Incorporated versus Edwards. And so if to the chat, if you're not familiar, there's something called principal and agent liability. Okay, this is when an agent acts on behalf of a principal, or at least with apparent authority that can be reasonably relied on to be apparent authority on behalf of the principal. So then, if that agent acts in an official capacity, or in what someone could believe would be an official capacity, the liability goes not only to the individual, but also potentially to the principal that employs the agent. Okay. Texas has this very interesting principal agent liability doctrine called vice principal doctrine. Let me read it to you. This is from the court. Let's see. A vice principal encompasses 4 classes of corporate agents. A, corporate officers. Now, to my understanding, none of these voice actors are corporate officers. They may be, but I don't have any evidence of that.
Let me look up Chris Sabat while you're doing that, because he might. Chris Sabat is the most connected, I believe, because he voices like 5 of the main characters on the show, and I know he's the cast. So let me look him up while you're doing that.
Yeah. So the next part, if it's corporate officers, B, those who have authority to employ, direct, and discharge servants of the master. So that means of the corporate entity. So this is not just executives. We're talking about management with hiring, direction, and firing authority over any servants of the master. That means that a middle manager, a manager at a McDonald's can actually impute McDonald's as an agent in Texas, for example. The next is those engaged in the performance of non-delegable or absolute duties of the master. So these are corporate duties or corporate responsibilities. And then finally, those to whom a master has confided the management of the whole or a department or division of his business. So that means if they have put them in a management or managerial position, if they have authority over a portion of the business, they are now a vice principal. Guys, the principal agent liability in Texas under the vice principal doctrine is pretty broad, which means that all of the statements made by anyone with any authority at any of these companies potentially implicates the company itself. Now, I don't know about you, but if one of my employees, by saying something stupid on Twitter, got me or my company wrapped up in an expensive lawsuit, that person has trouble working again. I mean, that's just how it goes. That's just how it goes. Whether they're right or wrong, they're risky. It's a risk that companies don't necessarily need to take. And we're gonna be talking about that as we go into this strategy thing.
Well,
So
I think when these people like you were saying, you know, somebody actually setting a precedent with this marauding that we see online, with all this brigading. When somebody does that, when somebody actually holds someone accountable and someone has to pay for it, then you're going to see a lot of people like step up, and they're going to be like, hey, you know, I get that you're loved, but it's going to be the same thing that they said about someone like Vic being a risk, only it's going to be real.
yeah, it's also I don't know, again, well, I know the reality of it. These people didn't calculate the risk to themselves. Like, they talked about it. They said, well, we were scared to stand up to someone like Vic because he has so much pull in the industry. What they didn't seem to consider is that their actions in implicating their own companies potentially put their entire careers at risk going forward. Because let's say they just, okay, Funimation's like, you know what, you wrapped us up in a very expensive lawsuit based on your activity. We got to cut ties. We can't have that. We can't risk you going out on Twitter and saying this again. Well, then, okay. Well, then they go to the next studio, and the next studio says, wait a minute, aren't you that person who just got Funimation wrapped up, Sony wrapped up in a giant lawsuit? Yeah, well, we'll call you back, maybe. I mean, that's how this goes. And if you don't think that's how it goes, ask anybody who's ended up getting their employer, even if they weren't wrong, into something like this. If you follow my channel, you know the story of Maddox suing Dick Masterson, and you know that Maddox also sued Asterios Kokkinos, and by extension, Asterios' employer, Weber Shandwick. And after that lawsuit, I think the day after Weber Shandwick was dismissed from that lawsuit, Asterios Kokkinos was fired the next day and has had a lot of trouble finding work since, because people don't want a liability. They just don't. And it's really a shame. Asterios is a good guy and definitely deserves a job, and he was wrongfully sued, and he doesn't deserve that. But that's got to be a consideration on every single prospective employer's mind. So yeah. Well, I've got a bunch of super chats to read. I know you guys don't have a ton of time, so I didn't know how long you were planning on staying, but I don't want to cut you off or like cut you off for chats. I can always read them when you leave, but they are building up. So I didn't know if you guys had any. Yeah, go ahead.
Chris owns the Otacatron, if I'm saying that right, 5000, which is a world-class recording studio in Dallas, Texas. And from what I understand, this is what Funimation uses for their dubbing.
Okay.
This is loose, and you know, I'm just going. I've never really looked too much into this, but from what I believe is they use his recording studio, and that would mean he has quite a bit of considerable power. He's also the voice director, a producer, a line producer, and voices like 35,000 of their characters.
Yeah, including my favorite two characters, Vegeta and Piccolo, which really depresses me.
That's okay. Just go watch the Japanese one. They're much superior.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, I guess. I like Vegeta yelling at people in English.
And if you want to get, I think the original Vegeta, what was his name? Shit, I can't remember his name. The one from Ocean Studios. He also played, if you remember, Gundam Wing.
Yeah. Who is he in Gundam?
He's coming off my name too. Shoot.
Duo?
Nope.
Hero?
Nope. The guy in the mask.
Wasn't
Trace.
Oh,
not Trace.
Okay.
It's off my name. I can't remember. But he played that dude over there too.
Okay. Gundam Wing was a long time ago. I don't remember.
Brian Drummond.
I liked Hero Yui and Duo Maxwell. Hero was the main. He was the main character, and I didn't like him as much because he was He was such an emo pansy. No, I
He
liked.
was a bitch, wasn't he?
Yeah, I liked Duo though, and the Death Scythe Gundam is so much cooler than the others.
Oh, it is.
But all right. So do you guys mind if I read through some chats, or did you have anything you wanted to run through before I do that?
I just one quick thing. We were talking about Monica's statement. Now, I found one part of that really ominous in a way. She she goes through her statement, and then in the second screen cap of it, she says the following: I apologize for lashing out and threatening fans. I don't want to have to take people to court or send law enforcement after them, but I was doing what I felt necessary to protect myself at the time. There is a watch list. I have names and numbers of multiple harassers, but I'm willing to forgive you if you stop the madness now. So look at the threat in that. I mean, that is a damn threat.
Yeah, it absolutely is. But to be fair, I don't think she has any idea what she's doing. I think she's actually terrified. I think she's actually terrified. Someone asked me, and by the way, since I showed the GoFundMe, we've raised $500 so far.
Awesome.
So keep it going, guys, please. If you haven't gotten a chance to donate, please do that. And I'm gonna be hitting some other shows. So if you see me around, if you've already heard the pitch, forgive me. I'll try and bring some interesting stuff each time. But I do want to make sure that this thing is successful for Vic. Because he's never been convicted and barely even been accused of anything. So yeah. We got to stop this. We got to find a way to stop this. And people have not fought it. They've only tried to deal with it from PR perspectives, issuing statements, going gay like Kevin Spacey, whatever they can do to try and get out of it. It's never worked. So at some point we've got to fight it. And that's what's happening here. And if this works, imagine what happens the next brigade. Imagine the people second guessing themselves. Imagine the person who's depersoned from the internet on some baseless accusations, taking this and going, okay, my turn. And we'll see what happens. But that's the thing. Yeah, I'll pin the GoFundMe on Twitter.
Mars Girl already said who's next in that leaked DM.
Yep. Yeah.
Who's next?
Yeah, and Mars Girl, I hope you're next.
Yeah, me too.
I hope she's in the list. All right, guys, I'm going to start reading these chats. You are welcome to stay, by the way. I don't want to kick you off, but I know it is a weeknight, and you guys are more normal people than I am as far as sleep.
Yeah,
so
I'm going to have to bounce, man.
Yeah, I got to get up early.
Yeah, I got a 4:30 morning. So
thanks for having me on.
Yes.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, we will talk more as this goes on for sure. Just keep in contact with me, and we'll make sure and chat. And if you guys ever need me on a show, just let me know.
All right, man. Hey, I come off a 4.5 month suspension next week. So
thank God. Yeah. What a ridiculous amount of time.
Yeah, man. It's been insane. YouTube still has not they have not looked at the lawsuit that never happened either. Isn't that interesting? Another conversation for another day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Such a great company.
Yeah. Wonderful. No, I love them. I actually do love them. They are my overlords and I love them. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks.
I, for one, welcome YouTube censorship.
There you go.
I love Susan.
Yeah. I have a back tattoo. It's like a Cape Fear style. It has her face on it because why not?
Yeah.
I'm gonna get her name tagged on my lower back.
There
you go, tramp stamp.
I'm Polish, which means I basically know Susan Wojciechowski. I can't. I'm doing a bad job of lying. Yeah. Anyway. All right. Well, thanks, guys, for coming on. I'm gonna start reading through these chats, and we'll talk very soon.
All right, man. Yeah. See you guys.
Peace.
See you.
Okay, so I'm going to read through all of these, and then we're going to hit that legal strategy section, and we're going to hit it hard, and we're going to have a fun time with it. Just a blast. Here we go. Rick Rekieta says, I'm calling the police. Well, you do that, sir. Yoshi K says, Sadeo Kawakami is best waifu. Okay, I'll take your word for it. Jay Buzlinski says, Vic was a huge inspiration to me as a teenager. Thank you for talking about this and doing your part to help however you can. Guys, I'm getting this over and over and over. I've heard stories of Vic actually talking to people on the brink of suicide and the encouragement that he offered really helping them out. It's really a shame to see someone who has done so much for people be dragged like this. Mithrin Emrys says, oh my God, you're going to get disbarred and are doing a fraud with the GoFundMe. It must be true because Blue Checks and Randos on Twitter says so. Seriously, though, keep up the great work. Yeah, I'm not going to risk my license on doing shenanigans with the GoFundMe. It's not, it would not be profitable for me to do that. Even if it got to $100,000 and I ran off with it, I would go to prison. Not only would I lose my license, I would go to prison. So that's not happening. Bagel Goose says, hey, that umbrella guy, you're not my father. Oh, he left. I'm sorry. I should have read that. I apologize. Marty Lund says, seems like all paths to discovery go right through Mars Girl's DMs, working with people in Funimation, ANN, etc. for coordinated blitz with movie. Oh man, Discovery. Discovery's going to be fun. I've talked to some Texas attorneys in my life, guys. I was born in Texas. I know Texas attorneys. I've talked to a few of them. Texas Discovery is not minimal. Texas Discovery is expansive, and it is fast, and it is great. Bagel Goose says, I didn't know they had anime conventions in Syria. Well, that's just you, man. Siren Jag says, rackets. It's a good thing Tug started talking. I was beginning to think that this stream wasn't going to be worth $9.99 for the first minute and $8.99 for each additional minute. Standard message rates apply. Darth Bobcat says, hail Tug, hail Flash, hail Rekieta. Darth Bobcat also says, petition to cast Vic as the voice of Lone Star for Jawbreaker when they get a cartoon. That would be great. Or a Jawbreaker, not for a Jawbreaker. Matthew Rivard says, Daddy, no! Arcane City says, Twitter at Arcane City, pinned tweet, Sean lied. Gimpy Troll, watched Gundam NT tonight at the theater. The dub-only voices made me cringe. Can't wait till the English dub industry implodes. Subtitle Master Race. Landon Mackin-James says, hey, Nick, Tug, and Flash, you boys drinking? I am. I've got Basil Hayden's rye whiskey that I'm drinking right now. Darth Bobcat says, Devil's Advocate, aren't you guys also writing this controversy for fame and fortune? How do you respond to those accusations? I am certainly benefiting personally from this controversy. Absolutely. My coverage of it as coverage of any media personality covering information that is important to people, I do stand to gain from it. I will never apologize for earning income to feed my family based on delivering information and education to people. Not once. I only hope to find the stories that people are interested in and respond to and willing to click on my show and pay me for. That's my job, is to find that and deliver that information to you. So absolutely, I'm writing this controversy. I'm also trying to contribute meaningfully to it through the GoFundMe and for promoting Vic, because I don't believe in just blindly grabbing stuff. And I do think he is being wronged. It just happens that my personal compass aligns with my business compass in this respect. Bob Job says, can you define brigading for an idiot? Brigading is when a bunch of people get together and go after someone in a not necessarily an organized brigade, but a lumped together, an organized manner, but some sort of social media movement, right? We saw it with Kavanaugh, where a whole bunch of people came out against Kavanaugh all at the same time. We see it with Vic in the same way. There's a bunch of people acting in a similarly motivated manner, even if they have never spoken, although a lot of people do seem to have spoken with each other. Next, Joseph Aldred. Tug and YellowFlash are so hot right now. They are. Mithrin Emmer says they bounce back and forth between condemning pedos and promoting sympathy for minor attracted persons. It's almost like narrative is more important than truth. Ninja Breadman, brother advocatus macaw of the Lex Imperialis Legion, thank you for your work. Also, I've timestamped stuff on your last Vic stream for those who need it. Would you mind pinning it for public use? Not at all. I will try and find it for you. Thank you. Joseph Aldred says, give me that sexy Tug voice more. Yeah. We'll have Tug on some more in the coming future here. He says Tug, and then he says Tug and YellowFlash are the real detectives. Absolutely. The Coke Master says, came back from the Gundam movie. Shekels for Nick. Thank you so much. Joseph Aldred says, you sound like Mike from MST3K. I really want to meet Mike. Mike has provided me much entertainment over the years. Mimaru Dolphy says, our prayers sent with this money for justice for Vic. Your love and support reached us. We've got your back. Thank you so much. Leighton Sills says, give him hell, Vic. I agree. Mithrin Emrys said, Dallas County or Tarrant County, Nick. I was told Dallas County specifically. If that needs to be updated, I will of course update it. But that's what I've got so far. I like the Spike Man says, sadly, I don't trust fundraising sites. So if you could give this to your GoFundMe, I'd be honored. Also join me in Walker or the casino this summer, spending vacation near Leech. Maybe that'd be fun. I can't donate to my own GoFundMe. I can't do that personally. So what I will do though is I will happily pass along that money directly. If I donate to my own GoFundMe, it gets a risk of being taken down for fraud. Can't do it. Darth Bobcat says, donated to the fund. Thank you so much. Joseph Aldred says, SJWs do nothing. We protect and attack. Absolutely. He also says, let them burn themselves. It's hilarious. Yes. Mithrin Emrys, welcome to the legal system where you can't hide the ball unless it's on a law exam. Exactly. Tillip says, shill the merch. The merch is going in a banner ad below the video. Please check it out. And we will be announcing some new merch in the very, very near future. Tillip has some great ideas on that. So do check it out. The Smug Mug is my favorite thing ever made. If you want to buy one, please do. If you don't like merch, don't. Darth Bobcat says, to think I used to like Channel Awesome Eat Cancer. Larry Bernard said, also, is reinvestigating matters consistent with Funimation's internal practices? If so, we may have a tort. I don't know if it's consistent or not. We'll see. Stand with Vic says, 3L here. Any advice for the bar exam? LMAO. Yes. Lots of advice for the bar exam. Don't focus on the essay questions. Don't focus on the essay questions. Everybody wants to focus on those essay questions. They make everybody nervous. Breathe, buddy, breathe. That's 36 points. 36 points. Your multiple choice is 180. You get 80% on the multiple choice. You can get 1 point on every essay question just for writing your name. 2 points if you write down something that's legible. Just think about that. Just think about that. Get 80% on the multiple choice, and I think you can fail your essays, and you will be fine. So just take those practice tests over and over and over again until you're hitting 85, 90% on your practice test, figure in a little bit of sweat and nerves for the bar, and then don't sweat the essays. Do them, just don't worry about them. That's where people get wrapped up and psyched out, and they're such a small portion of the test. They're a whole day, but they're a tiny portion of it. Hessian says, sad to hear Rooster Teeth is implicated. Used to really like them when they were proper poop lords and when Rooster Teeth still meant cockbite. Well, that's the way it goes. E-Hero Andrew says, it's like SJWs think Twitter is its own sovereign nation with its own set of laws, and American laws don't apply to them. They do. Absolutely. Safiro444, can you speak to the Gearbox lawsuit with its former GC suing the company? I actually did a live stream on that. If you look back, you can check it. I haven't checked up on those lawsuits, but I think I did 2 live streams where I read through each one of those 2 lawsuits. So you can check back. It was when they dropped. You can find them. Like just a couple days later. Larry G says, I was told by some pleb that civil cases don't involve the police or court, and that since Vic was fired, it automatically equals guilt. Nope. Incorrect. Mr. DJ Fly High says, I think they do like Samantha NOU, aka Fake Swatter 2019. She was the one that wrote a post about the funny investigation. She was head of it. Yep. That's a paddling. Whomstead says, everyone go see Battle Angel Alita. I was curious if that was any good. TLJ Screwjob says, Nick, the last stream you said Monica could actually talk about the ongoing investigation. To what capacity, though? Finally showing actual evidence. She shouldn't talk about the ongoing investigation. There's just nothing stopping her from doing it other than maybe some advice. I don't know what capacity she had in that investigation. If I were her lawyer, I would not have her talking about that at all. I don't know what she's doing, even mentioning that she was a part of it. What a terrible plan. Terrible plan. Hey, Super Saiyan Paul. Welcome to the stream. I did see Monica's last statement. Angel of Death Driver says, so one of Monica's Twitter replies about Vic being fired was contradicted by the IO9 article. I can send a pic to the Discord, but I'm not in yours currently. That is if you have one. I do, but it's reserved for Patreon and new Project 2 subscribers only. So that's something that I'm not... I can't just give that out. It's curated for good purpose. Clay's roommate says, Nick, make Clay drink. He's slacking. Clay, drink. What are you doing? Jay Cephas says, Southern Anime Law Center has put all three of you bigotists on their weeb hate map. Good. Oh no. Jacob Ceresia says, yeah, but Asterios did use Weber Shandwick stuff for Cucksmith CD. Actually, that's never been confirmed or denied. So maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But either way, they certainly didn't want that lawsuit to happen. Mr. DJ Fly High says, check out Michelle Light's Twitter. She made a Twitter video about her experiences with Vic. She was also involved in the IO9 article. Yep. It's like I said, it's that SEO. They're working on it. Ear Juice says, Quentin Reviews now singing about hating black people. I don't know who Quentin Reviews is, but he sounds weird. Underdog Anomaly says, Rial says she has a legal team with 25 other women. Cool. Good job with that. What are you going to do? What are you going to do with that legal team with 25 other women? Depending on who those women are, you may not want a legal team that is representing multiple parties. You may want your own. We'll see. Comes and Goes says, I want Kawakami's. All right. That's okay. TLJ Screwjob says, quote, I have 25 other women with me, yet still no proof. That's great. Angel of Death Driver says, sent an email on the stuff. I found your email when you're ready to look at it. Yeah, I will. Thank you so much. And I will also, I'm passing on, if this isn't clear, I do know and have some connection to Vic's law firm. Okay. I know who they are. I do have the ability to, all of the stuff that people have been sending me is going to be transferred to the law firm. The funds that come in through the GoFundMe will be held in a trust account, either created by the law firm or through a third party managing that trust for the benefit of Vic to be paid to the law firm, depending on how it's all set up. But yes, so there is coordination there. In that respect, I am not part of the legal strategy. I'm not part of the legal team. Don't at me on that. But I do have the ability to get a message to them or to get those emails to them for sure. Boag says, have a good night, Nick. Moonspeak, greater than subs, greater than dubs. There you go. JT says, it only reaches 100K if Vic retweets it. What'd he say to you? Well, I can't say much other than Vic gave me permission to run the fund. And he said that he does not want to be the person, he doesn't want to be involved in the fund. And I said that that was fine, that I would do that. He doesn't need to be making public statements. Contangent Alpha donated but didn't say anything. Thank you so much. Bob Job says, how did you find motivation in rough semesters in college? Also, did you live on campus or at home? I lived on campus at undergrad. I lived at my home in law school because I was married with children at that point. How did you get the ball rolling on sluggish days? Man, it's hard. Friends. That's about it. Contangent Alpha says, check your Twitter DM, my dude. I will in a minute. Fancy Flight says, Vic literally has God and anime on his side. There you go. Patrick Uthier says, I like dubs, dag nabbit. I'm dyslexic and have to pretend to work and stuff. I like the dubs if they're good too. Seija Kaijin says, tech is a cesspool of monopolies such as Android, Google, Facebook and YouTube, Google again. Is there anything we can do about them as long as they exist? Other companies can abuse that. Not right now, but people are working on it. And 99 Iron Duke says, Rekieta law off topic, but what do you think of Boston Law? Was it at all realistic? If you're asking about a law TV show and if it was realistic, no. The answer is no. All of them, every single one is not realistic. Law is much more boring than TV can handle. So there's that. Okay. On to this part. I'm now going to pause. That is all of the super chats that came in. Oh, wait, Stream Me has like 2. Let me check those real quick. Loops on Stream Me says, if a lot of this malice towards Vic started because he wouldn't sign gay porn, people should hold the malicious VAs to their standard and get them to autograph Mein Kampf or something else triggering. And then Pharaoh Owen says, Nick confirmed for ambulance chaser. I am not good at chasing ambulances. I am not good at it at all. So, no, but thank you. Thank you for the pejorative compliment, I think. Okay. All right. Here we go. Legal strategy. So I'm going to lay out, using the example that we have, a hypothetical expanding web of legal liability. Because here's what I laid out in the previous video is a very sort of theoretical, very high level look at what can happen, right? You've got these specific people that you need to go after very quickly. And I did leave out from that calculation Anime News Network. Why am I still wearing headphones? Oh my goodness. Oh. It just got like 4,000 degrees cooler. Oh my goodness. Thank you. Thank you for me reminding myself of that. Okay. So that was very high level theoretical stuff, but law is much grittier, much grittier than just this, the lofty, well, here's how far we can go. Cause I pointed out some tweets. You guys have seen them. Monica Rial's tweets, which have been updated now, of course. Jamie Marchi's tweets, Funimation's tweets, all of those are obviously actionable tweets for several reasons. But there are many more parties involved. Mars Girl was mentioned as well. There are many more parties involved. And that's where this gets hairy. So what I'm going to try and do is go through each of these sort of people. And I'm going to have to walk over to my printer and grab a sheet of paper, and I'll occasionally hold it up, and I'm going to chart it out based on how this evolves and how this unfolds. And I have to tell you something. This type of litigation, let me be clear to anyone who may be watching, this type of litigation, if you go through it, and I'm not talking about you having a choice here in the way that you might think. If you are subject, if you are a defendant in this type of litigation, it ends careers, it ends companies, it ends relationships, it ends business networks, it ends websites. You're not in playground time anymore. You're not on Twitter anymore. You're not in safe space zone with a bunch of back pattery going in a giant circle until someone's patting yours anymore. Now you're in the real world. You went after someone's job. You went after someone's money. You tried to divorce them from their fans. You tried to break their support networks. When people tried to continue to support them, you denigrate and destroy their fan base. You demoralize people. What were you thinking? You think this is playtime. You think this is all just some fantasy land where one person gets hurt. No. Not when you fight back. Because I'm telling you, you all think maybe you're going to get like a cease and desist letter, right? Please stop your Twitter comments. It would be really nice if you don't stop your Twitter comments. We will strongly consider the very possible action of pursuing some sort of legal action in the future. That's not how it works. You've been hammering on a corpse of a man for a month. What do you think is going to happen next? You get the right lawyer in there, you're not getting letters, ladies and gentlemen. You're getting petitions, legal filings, charges are being drafted if you've got the right legal team. It doesn't, because the right lawyers know that a cease and desist letter, you ignore it, well, okay, then it's another couple weeks or another month for you to sit and blast someone. The right legal team isn't gonna fool around with that. Let me go grab that piece of paper. Let me grab that piece of paper. We're gonna start going through this and looking at what it looks like. Because I tell you, when you answer that doorbell, boom, boom, and you go, hi, a person says, hey, are you so-and-so? And you say yes, and they hand you a manila envelope that's this thick, and suddenly you got to hire a lawyer within 20 days? And 20 days, that's you got to hire a lawyer to answer. You might be answering other things in under 20 days. You think it's pretend. It can get real really fast. And all of the lawsuits you've ever heard of, because most of you, if you've dealt with a lawsuit, has probably been in some normal person capacity. Again, you run into someone, you're dealing with like an insurance law firm, you might have to answer some questions, you've got a bunch of time. I'm sorry, you're destroying someone's career in real time. That means real-time responses. You're not going to get months and months and months to wait and answer. I'll be right back. White paper. So, I hope you've got your wallets ready. Oh, but there is a solution. There is a solution. I'm going to talk about it now, and I'm going to talk about it later. In case you miss it. In case you don't think I'm serious about what could happen in the next couple days. The solution is simple. You contact the legal team and you ask how this stops. Because I know it's gone too far. You thought you were just going to get someone fired. And then you didn't stop. And then you made statements. And you might regret those statements. Because now you've destroyed someone. And now there's a possibility that they're fighting back because the fans didn't turn the way you thought they would. Public opinion didn't sway the way you thought it would. You miscalculated. Now, and I've seen the engagement on Twitter. You think you guys have support on this? You don't. And you know it. So now you got to figure out how you get away from that. And there's one quick way to do it. And that's talking to Vic's legal team. I've made it pretty clear that I have a line of communication to Vic's legal team. Now, so far, of course, it has been involving a GoFundMe page. It's been involved in coordinating that and making sure it goes to the right place. Because that is my primary purpose, is to make sure that any funds that are given to my care through GoFundMe, it's not like they're coming into my house, but that there is good stewardship and that I will coordinate to have those funds directly transferred to the appropriate place. But I'm also telling you that you probably don't know who his legal team is, but I do. If you need to get a message to them, if you would like some sort of contact, I will happily pass along any information that you need passed along. You know who you are, right? This is not a message geared towards everybody. But If your lawyers want to talk to their lawyers, I can put you in contact. Okay? Okay. That said, now let's talk about what the next couple days to a week could start looking like for each person. All right? Here we go. So, parties that we've identified as obvious instigators publicly making claims on Twitter. We've got Mars Girl. We've got Anime News Network. We've got, let's see, Jamie Marchi. We've got, let's see, Monica Rial. We've got, let me get some space here, because this is gonna get really ugly. This is mostly to organize my thoughts. I mean, I can show it to you when I'm done writing, but it'll be just messy. We've got Funimation has made statements, and we've got Rooster Teeth, who has not made statements. They made a very small, very conservative statement. It's almost like someone gave Rooster Teeth some good advice. However, Rooster Teeth does have direct implication because Rooster Teeth did potentially breach contract with Vic. I don't know the nature of his employment. If it's just traditional Texas at-will employment, then Rooster Teeth is the best situated as far as I can tell. Finally, we have, who else? Funimation, Rooster Teeth, Rial, Marchi, News Network, Mars Girl. Oh, wait, who Samantha, right? That's the lady who said that she was on an investigation, right? Samantha. Oh, and we've got IO9. That's where we are right now. Here we go. Go after Mike at Pensacon. Pensacon is on the next round of people. Don't worry. This is the first round of people, and that's coming up. I'm getting from Streamy someone saying Sean Schemmel. Did Sean make any direct statements about Vic? Or did he just try and back up other people and do the swatting? Don't worry. Sean's going on this list. Actually, a lot of people are going to go on this list who aren't on it yet. Chris Sabat, going on the list. Absolutely going on the list. And we'll talk about how and why very, very soon. Let's see. Okay, so let's start with Mars Girl. So Mars Girl, what cause of action do we have against Mars Girl? We've got defamation. And we're going to talk about kind of some of the standards in each of these things. We've got tortious interference. Now, I'm going to just use tortious interference. I'm not going to distinguish between tortious interference with contract and tortious interference with prospective business relations, because the causes of action and the elements of those causes are extremely similar. The only difference is that tortious interference with contract requires an actual knowledge of a contract and an intent to interfere with that contract, whereas business relations is a little more broad. Pleading standards get a little bit higher on business relations, but let's talk about that real quick, that theoretical versus practical thing. We're in civil court here. We're in civil court. We're not in criminal court. There's no probable cause standard that's necessary to bring action in civil court. There is no beyond a reasonable doubt level of proof that's necessary in civil court. All you need is something called preponderance of the evidence, which means that there is a 51% chance, which means that pleading standards in civil court are a good faith estimate of a 51% chance or higher 51% or higher chance of winning the lawsuit based on the evidence that's given. Okay? That's what pleading standards in civil court are. They're extremely reduced from criminal court, which means you just have to basically think it's more likely than not that you have a good faith claim. That's it. Once you do that, you're in court. So tortious interference can be adequately pled. Defamation, adequately pled. And that's all you really need here, is the adequate pleading of these things. All right, so next we've got conspiracy. This is still Mars Girl. Conspiracy, because she talked specifically about her having friends at Funimation in her post in which she created the hashtag KickVic on Twitter. So we've got civil conspiracy to defame, conspiracy to tortious interference. We've got those things. We've got negligence for Mars Girl, and that would be, she even says in her own tweets that she's including stories that very well may be false. They may be false. She doesn't have any way to go ahead and check the accuracy of all of that stuff. Well, sorry, lady, that could be negligence. That negligence is enough to bring you into court. So here we go. I'm doing an update. We're at $8,849 on the GoFundMe. Thank you all, and please continue to contribute if you want to support Vic. If you don't do it. Don't do it just because I say so. That would be silly. Okay. So, Mars Girl, 4 causes of action. Let's talk about how this looks for Mars Girl. Mars Girl wakes up one morning, gets a knock on her doorbell somewhere in California. And Mars Girl is suddenly hailed into federal court in Texas. Northern District of Texas is Dallas. That's where the contracts seem to be located. Dallas. That's where Rooster Teeth is. That's where Funimation is. That's where the majority of these people are. The majority of evidence is in Dallas. So, you know what it costs to defend a federal lawsuit? It's not cheap. So Mars Girl has to hire an attorney because she gets served papers. Then what she gets served maybe is a discovery request with a list of admissions. Better answer those truthfully. And then what she gets served is a list of interrogatories. You better tell us who you talked to. This is the beauty of these sort of things, right? You better tell us exactly who you talked to. You better tell us what the nature of those conversations were. Any conversations involving Vic. Then she also gets a discovery request to turn over all of those emails. Any emails, any direct messages, any tweets, any Facebook posts. She has to produce them. And she has to produce them. It's electronically stored information. She has to produce them in a way that is reasonably searchable by the parties asking. Do you know how much it costs? Better hire a software engineer to collate all those tweets, turn them into searchable text files. You better hire a software engineer to collate all those emails, turn that into searchable. I hope you don't use some weird proprietary system for maybe your employment that isn't the same as everyone else's. And you have to turn over that electronically stored data. And you're in Texas. You're not in California. So you have to send it 1,800 miles away. And you have to. And if you don't, or if you lie about it and they ask someone else, and someone else says, oh yeah, I talked to this person, or she sent me a message and you left that off, guess what you just did? You just committed perjury. So I hope you remember everyone you talked to. I hope you've still got those messages. And I sure hope you don't delete them. Because if you delete them, a good law firm's going to find that too. They'll find evidence of a deletion. And evidence of a deletion is worse than finding what you deleted. Because finding out that you deleted it, that could be a crime. Not just a civil matter that is sanctionable. That could be an actual crime. That would be dumb. Hope you remember. Hope you can afford to produce that electronically stored information. And then once you've done that, maybe even before you've done that, you get a little letter that says, by the way, we've scheduled you for a deposition. We're going to have an attorney. they'll come to you or your place of business. Won't that be fun? Come to your place of business. Could you reserve a conference room in your office so an attorney can come talk to you for 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours? Maybe if you don't want to do it at work, you could just take the day off. You could just take the day off because you've got a deposition. You could go there and you could, we'll find a conference room you can go to and you can just pay your attorney, because I hope you're going to be represented at your deposition. You can pay your attorney for 3, 4, 5 hours of work. They're going to have to get caught up on your case first, right? They're going to have to get up to speed. You'll have to show them all that discovery that they're sifting through. So it's 3 to 4 hours of deposition, but it's like another 3 to 8 to 10 hours of prep time. How much does that cost? Now, do you have an attorney that you know on retainer permanently? Because I'm guessing, are you in LA? Oh, I know some LA attorneys. I live in a small town, right? I live in a small town. You know what an attorney costs here in my small town? The expensive attorneys in my small town cost $250 to $300 an hour. I hope you can afford that. But let me tell you what an LA attorney costs. More. Always more. You're in Los Angeles. Those attorneys cost more in LA. And I hope that they're also licensed to practice in Texas. Or, if they're not, and you hire them in LA, and then you have to do a court appearance, you're also going to have to pay for their pro hoc vice appearance. That's a little extra fee that the court just tacks on. And you may, in the Northern District of Texas, I'm not sure. In the Western, they would also have to hire local counsel. So you'll be hiring another attorney for any work that has to be done in Texas. So that's a second one. Do you have that? Do you have that? And it's not going to just be that 10 hours. I mean, you're talking, you better be able to lay down 5 to 10 grand tomorrow, potentially. If you get served tomorrow, you got to find an attorney real quick because it's going to come at you fast. I hope you've got it. I hope you've got it. If you think you get out of this cheaper than that, I will be dumbfounded. You better be married to attorneys. You better have them hanging off of you or whatever. They got to be working for free if you're getting out of this under 5 to 10 grand. And that would be lucky. That would be lucky. So that's Mars Girl. That's Mars Girl to start. All right. Anime News Network. That's a Canadian company. However, they do significant amounts of their business in Texas. The damage was done in Texas. Contracts are damaged in Texas. We've got defamation. Again, we've got tortious interference. Anime News Network seems to have contact with Mars Girl, so we've got conspiracy. We've got negligence, in case they improperly vetted any of those stories. In case maybe one of those stories or 2 of those stories were faked, pretty obviously. In case maybe they produced a picture of a phone number from someone who didn't even know if it was him, and that phone number wasn't actually provided by him. Maybe that's a fake thing. So there you go. That's Anime News Network. That's the corporation. But wait a minute. Who wrote the article? Let's see. Article writer? I don't even know. I don't know who it is. But the article writer is individually implicated in all of these things too. Now, you've got a Canadian firm having to hire a lawyer in Texas. You've got diversity jurisdiction just knocked out, and they'll sue you individually. They won't wrap you in with another party. That wouldn't make sense because you've got different claims in them. So you're going to have to get your own attorney. You won't be able to piggyback on someone else's. Anime News Network's going to have to hire the attorney for the article writer, probably. So they're not going to be happy about that. I don't think the article writer could afford to hire it themselves. Now, Anime News Network has this multi-part tweet. Out there where they lay out the standards that they have for their publication. Doesn't seem like they followed those standards, and it was written the day of the article. That's interesting. Whoa, hey, what's up, Watermelon Platypus? Thanks, buddy. I'll read that right away. Hello, Mars Girl. You've never had a real job, and you'll never retire. Thank you, Watermelon. That was a huge chat, buddy. You didn't need to do that, but I really do appreciate it. Of course. Thank you so much. Mikey D says, if the case is filed in federal court, you shouldn't need pro hoc, just an attorney admitted in any federal district, right? Wrong. You have to have an attorney admitted in that federal district. And you'll know this, of course, in my coverage of Meyer versus Wade, where Mark Zaid was not licensed in the Western District of Texas, so he did have to file pro hoc vice representation, even though he's licensed in several federal districts, not that one, and he had to hire local counsel. So no, you will still have to hire pro hoc vice, or you still have to waive in pro hoc vice if you're not licensed in whatever district in Texas. I would assume the Northern District where Dallas is. All right. Next. Now we've got the article writer, but wait a minute. I just mentioned something. Anime News Network didn't put out that series of tweets. It was like their editor-in-chief or their director. That means that the executives of Anime News Network, they're on the block too, right? Uh-oh. Did they approve this article directly? Doesn't really matter. Doesn't necessarily matter if they approved it directly, because Anime News Network did put it out. They are the executives. Tell you what, you might not want to wake up as an executive and find out that you personally are named in a lawsuit because one of your authors had a buddy-buddy relationship with a no-name blogger and decided to go ahead and publish an article that didn't follow your corporate policies for journalism. What's going to happen to that journalist? Oh, and Anime News Network probably going to have to pay that executive's compensation too. It's getting real expensive for that corporate entity to defend itself. I hope Anime News Network has money. I've seen they've been in business for 20 years. Them being in Canada probably doesn't help them, though. Let's say they fail jurisdiction in Texas. Okay, do you want to be sued in Canada under their defamation laws, where truth isn't a defense? You don't want to be sued in Canada, do you, dummies? Truth isn't a defense in Canada to defamation. Uh-oh. That would be bad. You'd probably like to have Texas. And guess what? You know what an executive from Anime News Network doesn't want to do? Get deposed for 3 hours. You're going to notice a theme here. They don't want to sit and be deposed for 3 hours either, because some journalist, some internet person that they hired who's stationed somewhere any number of miles away, they certainly don't want to. What's the parent company of Anime News Network? I don't know. I don't know if they have one or not, but if there's an actual legitimate executive structure, if Anime's News Network has shareholders, and suddenly you as an executive have to answer to your investors and shareholders why you're spending $100,000 on litigation because you're defending 3, 4, 5 people, I don't think they're going to be happy about that. Even Canadians will stop apologizing when it gets expensive enough. What were you thinking? Let's read some of these chats, because I hate getting so far behind. Getting so far behind on these. Sakaki Onzai says, the GoFundMe will soon be over 9,000. What? Must be broken. It's preposterous. The Anime Collector says, just curious, how significant is it that I got Facebook archives of the person in charge of Funimation's internal investigation? Very significant. Please pass them along to my email address, which is rekietalaw@gmail.com, is where I'm taking all the Vic information. Okay? That's where I'm taking all the Vic information. I like the Spike Man says, this is for you. God bless you. God bless the fine people helping a man ruined. And God bless you if we chill on a lake for a night this summer. Me and Extended love you. Buddy, get into contact with me. If you're in this area, I'd be happy to get together for a drink or hang out on a lake sometime for sure. The Anime Collector says, if it is significant, can you legally dub me savior of Anime Gate? Maybe, buddy. I'm happy to do that. Gawker's Death Rattle says, I need you to paint your face blue. Freedom! Axel KH says, Rekieta Law, have you seen Sharon BTW, part of her name, in Twitter? It seems important, so please check it out. She recently put stuff. I'll have to look into it. I don't know. Angel of Death Driver says, split second chair cam, all hail chair stream. Okay. Watermelon Platypus says, thanks for having Tug and YellowFlash on. Comicsgate, #Comicsgate. Yep, my pleasure. And they'll be on more in the very near future as this thing unfolds. Naruto Martin says, hey, did you see my DM and link I shared? Yes, I believe so. And I will be responding to you soon. I've just had a very, very busy day with DMs. JD 1989, Nick, you're a real life Atticus Finch. Well, thank you. Thank you. I'm just a guy. I'm no big city lawyer. I'm just oh wait, no, that wasn't was that Atticus? Was that Jimmy Stewart? Or was that Anatomy of a Murder? I can't remember. SJ Jar Jar Binks says, can it be dragged out? Can named defendants defend as a class? And wouldn't defendants file various appeals if they lose? This is not a class action lawsuit. Absolutely not. Can it be dragged out? Yeah. Or it can go lightning fast. And I don't know if any of these people are prepared for a lightning fast lawsuit. I don't think they are at all. I think they're banking on it taking a long time. SJ Jar Jar Binks says, can you delete evidence before you've been served the preservation order? No. I mean, it's not wise. You can do it. You can do it. Not wise to do. Not wise to do, especially if anyone can show that you deleted that in contemplation of a lawsuit. Not because you've been served by a lawsuit, but because you think you might be served. Don't do that. Oshi, Crusade is just Hume for Wah. Also glad you're finally streaming on a day I can watch. Do this more often. I stream pretty much every Tuesday. So, okay. Bill Kaler says, what if you try to ignore the suit as it's illegit? Not you have to respond or you lose. That's how civil court works. It's a weird function of the system. A lot of people don't like it, and it can be abused, absolutely. But and if it is abused, right, it's the court's duty to say this isn't legitimate. Look at Russell Greer. Look at Monica Smith, whoever sues Kiwi Farms over and over. The court is dismissing those actions sua sponte. That means on the court's own direction, because they recognize an illegitimate lawsuit. A competent firm is going to make sure you get past any sort of automatic dismissal very easily. And there's not much, that's not a high bar, especially in this case. You win or lose, it's not necessarily about winning in all of this stuff. It's about discovery. Because you might get into discovery and find out that this person didn't do what you think they did, right? But the ties that they have to other people does link you to the people who were more involved. That happens. That's how it goes. And if you find out that you don't have a cause of action after discovery, you can withdraw the lawsuit. Absolutely. Watermelon Platypus says, hello, Mars Girl. You've never had a real job and you'll never retire. Yeah, thanks. I wanted to read that again, even though I already read it. Thanks again, buddy. Unspoken Old One says, are you familiar with Meepy Gal who faked evidence? A little bit. Muerte Annunciata says, hello from San Diego. Here, an attorney, $950 an hour. You don't want to be in Southern California defending a lawsuit. You just don't. Gawker's Death Rattle says, by the way, congrats on getting 3,000 new subs overnight. Thank you so much. I do appreciate it. Welcome to the channel if you're new. Please, if you like this content, please share it, of course. Phoenix 76, Nick the Knife, not the hero we deserve, just the hero we need. Thank you. I appreciate that, buddy. Derek Gaines says, Vic has given me lots of memories just chilling with friends. He deserves better, and these people need to be crushed like they planned on crushing him. Set the precedent. That's what this lawsuit has a real chance of doing. 06902. Man, I'm glad you're helping with this. And do you like scotch? Because if so, I have a bottle of Macallan 18 waiting for you. I love scotch, sir. I love scotch. I've got a barrel right here. It is actually a liquor cabinet full of scotch, whiskey, bourbon. Whiskey, of course, being the all-encompassing term. Gin is also included. Yes, I do. TLJ Screwjob says, what if one claim is true, though? One claim being true is not necessarily enough. And what is the truth? Here's here's the reality, y'all. It's not even necessarily about what's true. What can you prove? We're going to talk about that in a minute, because we're going to talk about what defamation what defamation has occurred, and then what the defense is for it. Because that's a real sticky part of this. What can you prove? And you may think, well, Vic would have to prove he's the plaintiff. That's not how defamation works. Defamation, you allege the defamatory statement, and then they have to use truth as a defense, an affirmative defense, unless they didn't make the statement. Yes, I made the statement, but it's true though. Okay, now the burden is on you to prove truth. How do you prove that someone didn't consent to a kiss? I'm not talking about rape here, y'all. We're not talking about rape. How do you prove that someone who stood in a line, dozens to hundreds of people long, and watched every single person in front of them walk up, shake hands, get an autograph, get a hug, get a kiss? How do you prove that that person didn't consent to a hug and a kiss? How do you prove it? Especially when you're not the person. That's a tough one. We'll talk about that more in a little bit. Danny Agent 87, changer of ways cultists here. I will need to indulge in sorcery and summoning demons to stop the armies of the Imperium of Man under Inquisitor Rekieta. The Anime Collector says, literally a week before #KickFix started, the founder of Anime News Network was accused of something similar and put on a blacklist for cons. Rather than believe survivors, a crew of Anime News Network got him taken off the list. Absolutely. That is going around. Meckel Casanova says, Beth Elderkin blocked me on Twitter because it's come out. I'll be interviewing Vic on my Hawaii podcast. Would love to have you one day if you're interested. Absolutely. Just DM me on Twitter or Facebook or whatever. Send me an email. Let me know. Judicious says it's not about it's sad, but apparently we need to defend the concept of innocent until proven guilty. Absolutely. We really do. People have forgotten that that's what it is. Two more chats and then we're going to move on back into the next parties. The Anime Collector. For the record, Justin Savakis, the founder of Anime News Network, who was accused, is almost certainly innocent of the accusations, but the timing was pretty ironic. Seaman Survives says, second video I'm seeing from you. Must say it's very educational and very satisfying to discover how these fools will get their just desserts. Now, I don't want to represent that they're definitely going to lose. Again, sometimes in law, it's not about winning and losing. The practical application of leverage to the right people gets you the information you need. And unfortunately, for the people who that leverage is being applied to, as long as it's done ethically, credibly, and within the rules of court and the rule of law, which is not that hard, to be brutally honest, as long as it's done that way, they have to pay or represent themselves. Always ill-advised to represent yourself. Next, let's go to Jamie Marchi. Man, the DMs are going nuts and my phone keeps vibrating. It's very annoying. I hope you guys aren't hearing it buzz. Jamie Marchi, we've got defamation. We've got tortious interference. We've got conspiracy. We've got malice with Jamie Marchi. Very easy. That goes along with all of these things. Actual malice. I want his head. I want his balls. Jamie Marchi, what were you thinking? What were you thinking? Is Funimation going to stand for that? They don't tolerate harassment of any kind, right? Funimation? Is Jamie Marchi going to survive that tirade of tweets? Is that going to happen? Defamation. What did he do to you? Tortious interference. Here's the thing. Texas doesn't have truth as a defense in tortious interference. Now, I've heard on the rumor mill, and also confirmed, thank you, by the IO9 article, that a group of these people tried to get Vic removed before. That this is not the first time, even in the past year, that they have tried to remove Vic. Not the first time at all. That means, according to an IO9 article, Funimation conducted an investigation and they were told to pound sand. Get lost. Get lost. We're hiring him. The investigation came up inconclusive. That's in the article. That's not me speculating. That's the article. So then, what do we have? We have more evidence of malice because we know that they tried before and now they're trying again. We have more evidence of conspiracy because we know that they tried before and then they banded together and tried again. And then the brainlets decided to go on social media and tell the same types of stories that are just lacking enough details to have any sort of way to verify or discredit the stories. They all have questionable elements to them, vagaries in the interpretation. They're all calculated to be exceedingly damaging to a reputation by implication, and they're all just look like they're crafted and thought about to give no possible way to pursue them in any real investigative manner. Take Jamie Marchi's story to the cops. Well, who was in the lobby that day? What day was that? What time was that? Who'd you talk to? Who witnessed this? Who can verify the story? Well, someone was in there. Uh-oh. Someone was in there. Who? What's their name? Are they still with the company? Do you know where they are? Would they actually verify that story? What did he do again? Oh, he kissed you. Okay. How long ago was this? We can't investigate this. Did he penetrate you sexually? Did he touch your genitalia? Did he grope your breasts or buttocks? No? He kissed you and you didn't like it? Okay. Hashtag GF. What do you want us to do? We can't verify this. Was this in the last year? At best, you've got misdemeanor battery. At best. You didn't report it for how many years was this? Misdemeanor battery? He kissed you? Okay, I'm sorry. Maybe that was a dirty thing to do. We can't verify this. We can't prosecute this. Did he touch your pee-pee? If he didn't touch your pee-pee, you can't do anything about it years and years later. Because it's not a felony. It might not even be a misdemeanor. These were calculated statements. Look at all of these statements. All of the public statements you find. He kissed me and it made me uncomfortable. Okay. You might not like it. People may think it's creepy or weird, but is it legally actionable? No, of course not. Did you tell him no and then he did it? Big difference. Big difference. Did he kiss you? You pushed him away and he kissed you again? Huge difference. Did he just kiss you and then 5 years later you looked back and said, oh, that's weird? Did he just run his fingers through your hair and then 8 years later you said, oh, that's weird? That was weird then, I guess. I didn't mind it so much then, but now I look back with all these other things and maybe I changed my mind. I'm sorry. You missed the window of opportunity. We have a presumption of innocence. How are you going to prove it? All he has to say is, no, I didn't. You can't just run someone's life down based off of something that you don't even remember correctly, probably. Do you guys remember what day something happened to you? 8 years ago? 5 years ago? 1 year ago? When you're walking through the lobby at work, which you do every day, what day was he there? Allege it. Allege it. You can't even do it. How would you file that complaint in a civil case? You couldn't even say the date and time. How are you going to defend it? How are you going to prove the truth of it? You don't even know the date and time. Hope you remember soon. May want to talk to your counsel about what your next smart move of action is. I know you don't have one yet. I know you all say that you got, I know you say you got lawyers. I know you talk about it. You're forwarding it to your legal team. There is no way on earth you're paying a lawyer to look at all the stuff you say you're forwarding. And there is no way on earth you are making statements as absolutely stupid and insane as you're making with competent representation. If you are, oh my God, get out. Get out. Find an attorney who will serve you better than whatever is happening. Okay, next. So we've got defamation, tortious interference, conspiracy, malice. And by the way, we can start showing those elements. Did Jamie Marchi talk to Mars Girl? These are separate causes of action, separate conspiracies to defamation, because each statement, each defamatory statement is potentially defamation. Each one is a cause of action. Each one is a different claim. Conspiracy, that wraps you into a different lawsuit. Good luck. Monica Rial, defamation. TI, conspiracy. Malice. Now we have some interesting other stuff from Monica because she said she participated in the investigation internally at Funimation. So now we've got her acting as a agent, principal agent liability. For breach of contract. Hey, Monica, how much was Funimation paying Vic for the roles he's no longer going to get? What was the value of his contract? I hope you can pay that. I hope, because you're going to be individually implicated in that, of course. As an agent of the company, you'll be named individually. You'll be named, and then the company, of course, they're going to be very happy to pay your legal fees, right? Lucky for you, Monica, that you might be high enough that they pay your legal fees. Are they going to want to do that? Is Funimation going to want to pay your legal fees? More importantly, you work for Rooster Teeth too, don't you? Now, Rooster Teeth has been very smart and been very quiet about this, just quietly saying that they have cut ties with Vic. What did you say to Rooster Teeth? Did you disclose? Did you disclose information, internal business information between Funimation and Rooster Teeth? Because if you did, if you maybe took investigation information that Funimation had, private investigation information, and then you maybe defamed Vic or misrepresented that information without the consent of Funimation to Rooster Teeth, do you think they're going to want to pay your legal fees at that point? Funimation, let's talk about that. Funimation, we've got wrongful termination. Now, Texas is an at-will state. I talked about this. I talked about Texas being an at-will employment state, which means they just have to say you're fired. They don't have to say anything else. They could even say it nicely. We're choosing to no longer engage in business with you. Very nice. See you later. No 2 weeks, no pension, no severance. Nope, sorry, we're just done. At-will state, deal with it. They don't have any duty to make any public statement. They don't have a duty to find cause unless it's a specific provision in the contract, if there's an employment contract at all. I have no idea. I don't know what Vic's employment looks like, but we've got wrongful termination because there was an investigation which came up inconclusive just months ago. And now you've conducted a new investigation. Guess what gets discovered? Guess what gets discovered, Funimation? Because you went ahead and said that you had that second investigation. Did you? Did you have that investigation? What did you uncover? What thing did you uncover? And then you had a follow-up statement to your tweet. You brilliant brilliant company, smartest company on earth, right? Run by all the best people. Truly tremendous. Whoever's running your social media, Funimation, good job. Apparently tweeting anime all day doesn't make you a PR expert or a legal expert, because you went ahead and said, and by saying this made the implication that Vic was harassing people. That Vic was guilty of some sort of harassment, because you said in the same thread as terminating him that Funimation does not condone or support harassment of any kind. Whoops. Even if you meant something different, whoops. What were you thinking writing that in a post about terminating an employee? You had no reason to do it other than a virtue. Suddenly, you've got defamation. You've got tortious interference with prospective business relations. This one is specific because there's no contract, but you've ruined his ability to generate more business because now you have suggested that he is a harasser worthy of termination. I mean, I hope you can back that up. And even if you can, it might not matter. Because no one asked you who has a reason to know. It's not like you said that in private to another prospective employer who asked, which would be a bad move. Let me be clear on that. But that would maybe get you to making a privileged communication and maybe save you from TI and defamation. Maybe. What were you thinking? Now, that's Funimation. Who runs their social media? I don't know, but we'll find out, right? Because that's going to come out in discovery. Who wrote the tweet? Did they have authorization from an executive to write that tweet? Are they in a management position? We've got principal agent liability again. We've got someone holding themselves out as an agent of Funimation, as their communication coordinator, implicates Funimation with the statement, implicates themselves, because maybe Funimation wants to take the approach that they weren't authorized to make that statement. So you name them both individually and you name them as a corporate, as principal agent. Here's what happens. Who's going to pay? Who's going to run that defense? Because if Funimation's going to pay so that the person doesn't roll on them on the communication Funimation gave, then Funimation's paying out legal fees. If Funimation doesn't want to pay because either they didn't authorize it or the person maybe can't prove it and they want to take a gamble and say, no way, we don't want to pay this person's legal fees, then they've got to pay it themselves. Either way, deposition, deposition, deposition. Next, we've got Funimation executives. Who owns Funimation? Uh-oh, Sony. Sony owns Funimation. Sony just bought it right before all this happens. So now let's go ahead and just tack Sony on. Let's just tack Sony on. Whoa, Dubler, thank you for the massive donation. He says, thanks for what you're doing. I hope he crushes it in court. Me too, buddy. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And guys, I will get through all the chats again in a little bit, but we want to keep this flow going. But that was a big one, so of course I want to address it right away. Thank you so much. Sony. Suddenly a Sony executive, maybe the US director of video production in Sony. I don't know who it is. I don't know who the executive is, although Sony's corporate structure is probably public. They're a publicly traded company. So pretty sure we could find out what executive is in charge of the Funimation purchase. You know, the Funimation that they bought and has all of this management structure that's been going on that is acting in the dumbest way possible. All of those people have jobs right now. But wait till we see what happens when the director or executive, or maybe a couple executives in charge of this branch of Sony get served at their home, right? The executive who wakes up or served on the golf course next to his buddies. Or, maybe the wife has to answer the door because he's on a business trip and the wife gets the packet and then she has to make that phone call. Honey, you're being brought into court in Texas for wrongful termination, for defamation, and for tortious interference. And he says, what the F are you talking about? She says, Vic Mignogna, some guy. Funimation fired him, and they're blaming you. They're saying that as the executive, you have implication here. What are we going to do? Is Sony going to pay for this? We had a vacation planned this month. What is that going to mess with that? Uh-oh. You mess with an executive's day? You make his wife read his mail? Let's see how that goes for you. Sony's got wrongful termination. Respondeat superior. That's principal agency. They've got defamation because their subsidiary made a statement about firing someone that they shouldn't have made. And they've got TI. Of course, Sony's executives, at least one executive gets served and named individually. We don't know what he had to do with it. Maybe he had nothing to do with it. We don't know. But we do know that he's responsible for this division of Sony. He's responsible for this acquisition, and he's responsible for the conduct of his employees. You think Sony wants to start dropping tens of thousands of dollars on this? Now, Sony's got big pockets. But they just bought a studio, and that studio looks like it's going to cost them money. Uh-oh. Rooster Teeth. We might have wrongful termination on Rooster Teeth. We might not. They're the hardest ones to pin down at the moment. So maybe Rooster Teeth doesn't get served right away. Maybe they do. Kind of depends what can be found out before those petitions go out. So we've got a potential wrongful termination suit with Rooster Teeth. We don't have defamation, but we may have TI. We may have conspiracy. Because if, and this is not that hard of a stretch, any of these people work for both studios, which I know many of them do, and they talked about the internal goings on because they tried to get Vic fired and it failed, and then they tried again better. So we've got now them going after him the second time and doing it in a more coordinated way. Anyone who's part of that conspiracy that works at both companies might have just implicated Rooster Teeth, who's writing this out so well. They were doing very well with their statement, and suddenly Rooster Teeth might be implicated. Uh-oh. Are any of these people, do they have secondary roles at Rooster Teeth? Anybody who's got a DM that surfaces have a secondary role? Rooster Teeth's parent company is Otter TV. Who at Otter TV knew about it? You're noticing a pattern here, right? So far, we've identified 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, maybe 13 people. 13 people just so far. We're not done yet. Next, we've got Samantha. We know Samantha's got conspiracy because she is affiliated with Mars Girl. Whether or not they communicated. Of course they communicated. Samantha. She's got conspiracy. She's got TI. That's the article. She's got defamation. And Samantha's credibility goes right out the window because she decided to admit to swatting. Now, is that legally, or to fake a swatting incident using her own photos from years ago? Smart move. Smart to do that. But here's the thing. Is it unlawful to fake a swatting? Not unless you're inducing someone to take some sort of action. Okay? Not unless you're trying to induce someone to do something. If you're not trying to induce them, it's wrong, it's stupid. Is it actionable? No. However, it eats your credibility alive. It eats it alive. What are they going to do? She says she was part of the Funimation investigation. Mars Girl says she was part of the Funimation investigation. By the way, we now know they talked for sure. Good job. Thank you for that. She's part of the investigation that got him fired. That's conspiracy. That's tortious interference. That may be some level of wrongful termination. That may implicate them. Funimation may have to hire to protect her. Good Lord, that legal bill's getting big. And guess what? Every single one of these people can be deposed. Even the ones who can't be sued. We're coming to you. It's coming. That's coming up on the list. Stay tuned. You get deposed. You want to sit there and answer questions about lying, about SWAT? You want to start talking about your mental state? About what medications you're on? About what kind of traumas you suffered in the past? And then you want Funimation to have relied on your testimony to get someone fired? Did you falsify that testimony? Did you even get it, or are you lying now? What did you do? Time to answer those questions. Oh, it's under oath, by the way. And again, so far, we're at 13 people. So far. Every one of them is under oath. And if you tell a different story than someone else, you better real quick refresh your recollection of that story. But you won't know. You'll be sitting in that deposition room. You're going to have an angry attorney looking at you right in the eyes and asking, so tell me about that incident with the swatting. So you lied about that. Isn't that true? You fabricated that. You took pictures from a 2016 Facebook post of yours and posted them as if a SWAT team had broken down your door that day. Isn't that true? Isn't it true that you talked to Mars Girl about this? Isn't it true that the nature of those conversations involved directly attempting to terminate Vic Mignogna's employment? Isn't it true that Mars Girl spoke to you about trying to get his contracts canceled with Funimation and Rooster Teeth? Isn't it also true that you guys decided to talk about getting him removed from conventions? Oh, it's not true? Please elaborate on the nature of communications that you had with Mars Girl. Isn't it true that you spoke to Jamie Marchi about this conversation as well? Isn't it true that you participated with Monica Rial in an investigation? Isn't it true that you two discussed this investigation prior to being asked questions by internal human resources at Funimation? Isn't it true that the nature of those discussions was the intent to make sure your stories matched up to further damage someone's career without appropriate evidence? Oh, that's not true. That's not true? Will you please tell me about the nature of the discussions you did have with Monica Rial and Jamie Marchi prior to that internal investigation? Please name everyone else in that internal investigation. Hope the names match. Hope the info matches. Hope all the lawyers are getting paid. Because guess what? One person flips. One person flips. And you're all in the ground. You've got a conspiracy. You know how they say, it's a conspiracy. Do you know how hard it is to get that many people to not be stupid? Well, guess what? Start looking at the Twitter accounts of your friends, because you don't have anybody who's not stupid right now. You've got Sean, what's his name? You've got Sean, I can't even remember. The names are too close. That guy's admitted now to being bipolar. He's off his meds. He doesn't even know what he's saying. Is his story going to be straight? What are you thinking? What are you thinking? Are you going to be able to trust him to stick to the narrative that you're all discussing right now as you pucker up your anuses and you wait for it to come? Are you going to trust that the person next to you isn't going to fold? You better have real good friendships with the people who just backstabbed a guy they've been friends with for over a decade. Are they gonna backstab you? No, they'll be good, right? They'll stick by your side. Right? What do your husbands and wives think of this? You guys are voice actors. Sit in Hollywood. You're not making $10 million a film. Can you afford this? What about that vacation you wanted to take next year? What about that anniversary coming up? What about that wedding coming up? You got to go home and explain this stuff. You thought it was all pretend. Thought it was all pretend. All right. Let's read some of these chats. Okay. Yorgamund07 says, you prove it by reading. Yep, that's how you prove it. That's good luck. Earjuice says, I hate Quentin reviews. Racist. Jim wants on, by the way. Well, Jim needs to send me some Morse code. He needs to Morse code on the vault door, and then we'll let him on. Isn't it great that Pensacon and the various VAs have behaved like petulant children? Funny how the only professional so far has been Vic. Shocking. Shocking. Prime Geek Collector says, Vic rumor is like mall Santas getting bad rap for kids sitting on their laps. You knew what Santa does. Sit, tell, ho, 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 goodbye. By the way, thumbs up, Nick. Thank you so much. SJ Jar Jar Binks says, I hope Vic gets his justice. My fear is now he's sued. It will be, it's big. Will any companies want to hire him for fear he may sue them in the future? No, because most companies are going to take notice of this. And, you know, the outcome of this could be very, very beneficial to Vic's future career. Much better than the prospects he has right now. We're talking retractions of these statements and stories, apologies, and a little bit of cheddar. A little bit of cheddar. Put it on top of the taco. TLJ Screwjob says, the day Vic was announced as Kuro, someone on RT's Rooster Teeth's forums brought up some allegations. Gray Haddock said they'd look into it. That was 3 to 4 years ago. So yeah, of course they probably looked into it, said, we can't verify any of this. TLJ says, would Rooster Teeth be like Funimation since they knew allegations? Maybe. It all depends what you can prove, right? Both ways. Kyle says F for respect. Oh man, I hope I'm not dead. I like the Spike Man says 10K. Whoa, where we go? 10K, 10% in less than 1 day. SS God Rekieta. Less than 1 evening. Less than 1 evening. And we're hoping for more. I'm going to be on some other bigger channels than mine promoting this thing. And so the message is going to come out. Pony Cordero says, get kissed and not like it 8 years later. I'll try. But the only person who kisses me now is Lady Rackets, and I would like that still 8 years from now. Seaman Survive says, imagine getting kissed by Broly and not liking it. Hell, I'm not gay and even I'd like it. Might be kind of terrifying because he's very strong. Dubler, again with the huge super chat. Thanks for what you're doing. I hope he crushes it in court. Thank you, sir. I slapped your mom says, some nice slaps you're giving. I like. Angel of Death Diver says, goodbye golf. He knew ye well. Jonathan Upadye says, Sony America was a mistake. Maybe. TLJ Screwjob, what about the Rooster Teeth VA that went hashtag kick Vic Jen Brown? Maybe. I'm not aware of that, and I don't know enough to say. I don't think just retweeting a hashtag is enough. I don't think that is. It's the people who keep adding their personal stories to it and really going after it. Like Mars Girl retweeting just about everything and adding that hashtag all over the place. That's the trouble for her. Watermelon Platypus. SJW's attempt to ruin people's lives in passing. They deserve financial ruin, and anyone eyeing their behavior deserves their example. Never retire. Yep. Pay those damages for life. Al Capone says, this Walter White impression is incredible. Thank you. Clay's roommate says, tell Pete to drink it. TLJ Screwjob says, hey Nick, who's your waifu? Lady Rackets, of course. Reg says, are you sure real life isn't more boring than TV? This part of it isn't. The actual process, there's that initial fire, which is really interesting, and then there's that long lull. If it keeps going. A lot of these things sputter out very quickly. The Anime Collector says, Vic should start a competing company. Vic should do a lot of things when it's time. Right now is not the time. Right now, look, think about this, guys. Vic has been destroyed and betrayed by his friends. Lots of people would be dead in Vic's position. No lie. No lie. Lots of people would be in the ground. They would have killed themselves. It's very unfortunate. That's what this stuff does to people. Think about that. These people thought about it. And they thought, we'll ruin this guy. Not quietly. We're going to publicly annihilate him. They have to have considered the fact that a person that they have called friend, even if they were lying, even if they're not his friend, but at least his coworker, might be dead because of what they say. Look, I mean, people jump off buildings from this stuff. So right now, Vic needs to focus on himself. He has been Julius Caesared by the people he trusted the most. He's lucky to be alive. And the people who are friends to him out there, you know who you are. The people who are standing by him in his real life and his online supporters, but those people who are there with him in reality, who are communicating with him, who are advising him. He owes you so much, and you are very good friends, very good people for doing that, because without you, you know how dangerous this can get for people. B-Buster Joe 92 says, Johnny said it best, quote, what was done in the dark will be brought to the light. Yes, it will. Lane says, an Italian kissing person on the cheek, unheard of. Yeah, no one's ever done that. Not once. Not once has that happened. What are you talking about? Hey, don't go to Italy. You go to Italy, you're gonna get kissed. All right. We've got a couple more parties. We've got IO9. IO9, defamation. Negligence. Did IO9's editors approve this? If they did they follow their regular journalistic... Hold on. Did they follow Gizmodo's journalistic standards? Okay. That's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to think that Gizmodo has some sort of journalistic standards. But the real question is, did they do it? Did they actually follow whatever ridiculously low ball standards that they have? I mean, they're a hit rag. They're a hit rag for the left, of course. Of course. So did they follow it? I don't know. But I hope they did. Because if you didn't, negligence. You better have followed your own internal policies. You better have run it by 2 or 3 editors. You better have verified those stories. You better have gotten secondary sources on them. Whew. We've got conspiracy because the writer, the author of that article is former what's that stupid Channel Awesome, right? Which we know she knows Mars Girl. Go watch YellowFlash's video. I haven't watched it, but he lays it out. We know that Mars Girl talked to the author of the IO9 article. So now we've got the author of IO9 article. Conspiracy. We've got any editor who touched this in conspiracy, negligence, defamation, negligent. This is one I haven't covered for the employers. Negligent management, failure to manage, failure to discipline their employees. That's a cause of action. You know, if you've got employees off the rails and they're not following your standards and you're not properly managing them, you've got authors not following your editorial standards. That's failure to manage, failure to supervise, whatever you want to call it. Fail to supervise. Now we've got a Gizmodo exec, right? That's another executive. That guy's probably out in California. I mean, you know that guy's in California. He's got to be buddy with the tech companies. You know that guy's going to go out to his LA golf course. He's going to go up to that LA golf course. He's going to arrive there. There's going to be a package waiting. Sir, we got this package for you. Here you go. What's this? Lawsuit? Golf buddies look at him. Wait a minute. What? Getting sued? Getting sued, pal? That's going to be fun. You think he's going to call up that author? Think they're going to use them again? Think the editors who approved it are going to be happy when that guy has to answer some angry Texas attorneys in a 3-hour deposition? By the way, you know what people from Los Angeles, San Francisco, San Diego really don't want to do? They don't want to answer questions like this. Now listen, I'm going to tell you again. Is it true that you have journalistic standards at I09 that were not followed by this employee? Is it true that your editorial staff, you think they want to answer in LA, in San Francisco, in San Diego? You think they want to talk to a Texas attorney? You think they want to hear this accent all day? You think that's what they want? You think they want to be greeted with howdy? You think they want a belt buckle that's picking up satellite TV shining in their face during 3 hours? 3 hours of interrogation? You think they want that? Of course they don't. Of course they don't want that. That's the most annoying thing in the world unless you're from Texas. Then it's home, baby. Then it's home. But if you aren't from Texas, you hate that. Of course you do. I'm from Texas, y'all. I love it. It reminds me of my grandparents, and it makes me warm on the inside. It makes me warm. You think a Gizmodo exec wants to have a Texas attorney railing on him for hours? He's going to be pissed out of his mind when he leaves that room. Oh, my goodness. All right. So then, who else do we have? This is just the initial round. We've got 15, 16, maybe 17 people. Now we've got people who don't have lawsuits yet, right? Just because you're not in a lawsuit doesn't mean you're without representation necessary to answer a deposition. Because guess what, Chris Sabat? You're a witness. You might be involved in that conspiracy. There's a lot of evidence out there. You talk to these people every single day. You're in a management position at this company. What did you know? Maybe you're not sued. But that deposition still happens. Are you paying for that attorney, or is Funimation paying for that attorney? Which one do you want? You want Funimation's attorney? Hey, by the way, all the people at Funimation, the company that completely blundered the very easy firing of a person by adding a statement that may implicate them in liability, you want that attorney, the one representing Funimation? You want that attorney to represent you? They going to advise you properly? Chris Sabat's been pretty quiet about this, from my understanding. Hasn't made any direct statements as far as I know. But he's still on the block for a deposition because they got to know what he knows. They got to know who he talked to. And most importantly, they got to know who's telling the truth. And the way you know who's telling the truth is you wait for the different story. Chris Sabat, you got Sean Schemmel. Same thing. Sean Schemmel, although Sean Schemmel may be implicated in some of this. There may be a lawsuit for him. I don't know if he's in Texas or not. That may play into some of this. Who gets served when? What lawsuits go out? Sean Schemmel, though. Now you've got a bipolar person who faked a swatting just yesterday. He's going to be answering those questions in deposition under oath just like everybody else. If his answers conflict with yours, who's lying? Guess what? You know what matters to the attorney? They don't know who's telling the truth and who's lying. But whose lie serves them better? That's the one that matters to them, right? So is Sean Schemmel lying? Or is the not crazy person lying? Is the person who wouldn't fake the SWAT lying? You want to pay for Sean Schemmel's representation? You want to trust his story? Or you want to put him out on his own? What's Funimation up to in legal fees right now? I mean, Funimation is defending Marchi, Monica Rial, They're defending themselves. They're defending their executives. This is all probably coming from Funimation's budget from, Sony isn't. I don't think Sony's forking out money to save Funimation right now. They're going to have to probably pay for it on their own. Sony might just decide to fire everybody there. Get them out. Fire everybody and settle it. Sony, doesn't that sound like a nice plan? Let them fend for themselves. Sony could settle this thing, fire everybody in management, every voice actor at Funimation who has a single thing to do with this, and they could just say, you know what? They go to Vic's attorney and say, hey, why are we doing this? You know we had nothing to do with this. I mean, we bought Funimation. They made some bad moves. Let's shut this thing down right now. What's it cost? What's it cost? We'll retract everything that these idiots said, and we're firing all of them. Uh-oh. Hope you guys got that golden parachute. Hope you got that golden parachute with your voice acting job. What's going to happen? You think Sony wants to pay protracted legal fees on all these people? Because ultimately, Funimation's budget's Sony's budget. Funimation has to be profitable. You think they want this? You think they want this den of snakes? This pit of vipers ready to turn a private employment decision into a public fiasco? You think Sony wants that? We'll see. We'll see if they want it. We'll see when Chris Sabat gets Me Too'd. Hey, Chris, do you trust these people? You know they did it to Vic. They're not going to do it to you, right? You never ran your fingers through your hair. You never hugged one of them, did you? Hey, Chris, you ever hugged a fan? Hey, Sean, you ever hugged a female fan at a convention? I'm Goku. I'm just the happiest guy on earth. Ha! Everybody loves me. I just want to fight and test my power, right? Right, Sean? Play that character. Goku seems like a hugger to me. Would you hug someone? Have you ever? You think they won't turn on you, Sean? Chris? You're men. You're the problem. You have to know this. You have to have considered this, right? I mean, it's always the other guy that they turn on. It's always the guy who's creepy. Did Vic know he was creepy to these people? Are you creepy to them? And if you are, do you know that you're creepy to them or not? Or will it be a surprise to you? How did Vic react when you guys did this to him? You know him personally. You may have talked to him. You may have done it to his face. You may have done it when you tried the first time. I don't know. You may have tried to tell him that he was being a creep. Did he know he was being a creep? Or was he surprised by that news? Do you think you'll know when you're a creep? Or do you think you might be surprised by that news? Do you remember every fan you've met for the past 8 years? Chris and Sean? Not to play the man card on you, but you're the man in a world where it's dangerous to be a man around women. I don't know if you know that, but there's someone in the news that you know. It was very dangerous for him to be a man around women. I hope your paths are squeaky clean. Not like Rainbow Randolph, but smoochy, right? You better be squeaky clean, boys, because you're boys in a women's accusing world. And you're watching it and participating in it. And if you think it's not coming for you, I hope to God you're right. Because it would be a shame to see you go through this. You gotta think more than one step ahead, y'all. It's a cutthroat world out there. All right, we got some more chats, and we'll wrap this up pretty soon. Pretty soon. The Anime Collector says, anime is never going to be the same. Oh, it might. It might. You wait a couple years. Once this stuff dies down, you see some people making new and independent studios with the talent that people like and without the talent that people don't. Because I tell you what, I've heard there's a disparity in booth attendance. I've heard there's a big disparity in booth attendance at some of these conventions. You know who people like? You can guess. You can guess. I think a couple years down the road, we may see, well, anime may be a little different because the people who aren't liked by the fan community and maybe cost a bunch of people a lot of money might not be there anymore. And people who are maligned right now might be back in it if they play their cards right. Smithy says, bedtime. Vic, Nick, thanks. Funny VAs, full tard. Watermelon Platypus. Peter Smetty of Alterna Comics almost killed himself when his friends SJW'd him, and when he didn't, they swatted him, pointed guns at him, attempted to murder him. He gave these people their careers. Absolutely disgusting. Crash Jester says, Nicole Seligman is the president of legal. Okay. All right, Nicole. I'm going to give Nicole the benefit of the doubt. I think maybe none of this was run by Nicole, and she's probably tearing her hair out right now. Claire Fries, if this goes to trial, I'm driving up to Dallas to watch. This will be amazing. B. Buster Joe 92. Next, Vic will find the gold of Sparta, and he will become the Count of Monte Cristo. Watermelon Platypus says, the Jawbreakers monkey is from Texas. Isaiah Manolo says, just donated to the GoFundMe too. We're going to do an update on that before we leave, of course. Happy to see all the support from everyone. Me too. MMA Force says, hey, Nick, don't know if you've seen the news yet. Covington Kids lawyers suing Washington Post for $250 million. Video explaining it. Yes, Thursday is that video. John Smith, Rekieta Law Chief Digital Officer Eric Berger is the exec for Funimation. There you go. Eric Berger. Thank you for that. We'll see how much fun Eric has in his nice executive job getting that document. Devin Eng says, Funimation's workplace is hellish. Look at the Glassdoor reviews. The employees are underpaid and miserable. Funny is putting up fake reviews to lie. Fake positives. I like the Spike Man says, Hank Hill got accused of sexual assault. He handled it Arlen style, not with this. What happened to Texas? Hell, if offer, it's all the commies. Oh yes, it's all the commies invading from California, but hey, at least your wall is being sued. The wall is being sued in true, predictable fashion. Lane, and a federal judge is going to somehow try and put a temporary injunction on it for years and wrap it up. I hope Trump just builds it anyway. Not because I even like the wall. I don't really think the wall is going to be the best thing. I know a lot of you do, and that's fine. I'm not going to argue with you. I don't think your position is wrong. It's just not mine. But I think it's funny. I think it's very funny. Lane says, slightly off topic, has anyone ever told you that you sound like Shaggy when your voice cracks? Have you considered going into voice acting? I have, but I kind of I like what I do. But maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll get a gig from this, right? I hear there's maybe going to be some vacancies soon. Scotty says, good thing Travis Willingham has been quiet. He has a publicly related story of an underage fan who full mouth kissed him at a con. The Anime Collector says, Dragon Ball is never going to be the same. That's correct. Little Doogie, Sean and Co. only got their jobs because the VAs before them were cut for money reasons. Axel KH says, Rekieta Law, please remember to look at Sharon BTW, part of her name, on Twitter before you go. Please, it seems very important. I'll check it in just a second. The Anime Collector says, let's start a petition to get the Ocean Group back to finish the dub for Dragon Ball Super. And Watermelon Platypus says, this is just an extra thank you for talking to Richard Meyer and Ethan. Godspeed. And hopefully I'll be talking to Ethan. And I don't think Meyer's doing many live streams, but hopefully they'll be at least promoting this, knowing how important it is to mount these kinds of defenses. And they'll have me on soon, hoping to reach out to their audiences as a plea for help as well. Okay. Holy cats. We've got to find this BTW. I've got to find Sharon BTW. Sharon BTW? Is it Shannon BTW? Let's see. What was it? Sharon BTW. Oh, there it is. There's Sharon BTW. I don't know if this is the right one. I'm pulling it up. Just a second. It's going really slow. Nope. I don't think so. I don't think this is it. Oh, wait. Oh, lots of replies. Okay, so Sharon, I don't want to go through this right now. This is someone who's claiming someone who claims to have been in his English class, who heard rumors about him and then dismissed them. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I can't verify this person. I know nothing about this person. I don't want to sit and speculate on that, and I don't have time. She's followed by Mars Girl. I believe you, but I'm not going to do that on stream. Here we go. Finally, Schwann's Gruberman says, Nick, sorry if you already answered this, but what would you, in your opinion, be the most likely outcome of Vic suing everyone as you say? Well, let's talk about that. What I have laid out is a full-on offensive strategy. It is about as aggressive as you can get. There may be causes of action I've missed. This is Texas. That's not in my jurisdiction. It's very possible that there are other causes of action under Texas law that could be brought. So please, if you are from Texas, if you are familiar with specific Texas law and causes of action that I've missed, forgive me. There's only so much research I can do in a day on something that isn't my own case, obviously. But I have laid out a very, very aggressive strategy that Vic's legal team could take. It's not necessarily the strategy they will take. I'm hoping that Vic's legal team is smarter than me. Now, I know who they are. I know they have much, much more resources and experience than I do. And I'm thinking that certainly, even if they were to follow some of the approach that I've laid out here, that they've probably got more causes of action that they could bring, because they're going to know Texas law. They're going to be better equipped to research Texas law and all of that stuff, right? So let's lay that out there. This is the offensive strategy. This is if you don't have anybody coming to the table. And this is what rips businesses apart. It rips lives apart. It rips relationships apart. It's ugly and messy and necessary sometimes. Okay? Sometimes it's necessary. However, let me restate something very, very important. And I hope you're listening. Let me bring this back up on screen. We are over $10,000. We're close to $11,000 raised for Vic in 7 hours. Still well over $1,000 an hour. I hope it only keeps climbing. We want to reach that 100,000 goal. We want to break that $100,000 goal. Guys, I have laid out a case of going after initially 15 people in different jurisdictions. $100,000 probably isn't enough, if we're being brutally honest. I don't know what it would cost. It depends on the participation of every single person. But $100,000, you'll reach that with 5-6 defendants in a federal case. You've got a lot of work to do this type of lawsuit. So $100,000 is a great start. I do hope we get there. A lot of people have said Vic is wealthy, but maybe he's not that wealthy. No one can afford this. No one on earth can afford this, except for your top 1/10 of 1%. They can afford whatever they want, right? Elon Musk, Bezos, those guys can afford anything, obviously. But even someone who's worth a couple $1 million can't put down $100,000 in legal fees. And you have to typically pay first. You may recover it. You may recover those fees. You got to pay your attorney as it goes. Most attorneys, especially in litigation this expensive, aren't going to be doing this on goodwill and aren't going to be just say, well, yeah, pay me later. You can't. They have to put their resources into it. They've got to pay their staff. They've got to pay experts. They've got to pay other attorneys in other states to do depositions. They've got to pay travel expenses for depositions. They can't just do it blind, right? Money has to go to them now, even if you win it later. Your average pretty wealthy person can't afford litigation like this. No one should have to. So that's why it's up there. Let me say also, your average not very wealthy person, your average middle to upper middle class person who might be a voice actor, might be a journalist, who might write subtitles for a company, who might be middle management at a company, who might be an editor of a blog. Those people certainly can't afford this. Won't be $100,000 for them. Ask Dick Masterson and Asterios how much a fake lawsuit cost them. A fake lawsuit with completely made up charges cost Dick Masterson somewhere around $25,000 to defend it. And it was ludicrous, and he never went to court and was never deposed, to my knowledge. Just motion practice. $25,000. Can you afford that? Can you afford that? That's how this plays out. Here's the alternative. You've got an attorney. If you don't by now, what are you doing? Legal action has been basically announced. And even before it was announced, you had to know it was possible. I don't think you guys thought that there was no possibility you'd get sued, right? I mean, that would be serious lack of foresight. Even if you think Vic's a really nice guy who wouldn't sue, that you're kicking a corpse over and over. You think at some point you have to consider that they might fight back. So if you didn't have counsel, I hope you do now. Look, there's a way out. Talk to your lawyer about it. Talk to your lawyer about it. I know how to get in contact with them. You know that. I've stated it openly. I stated it on the GoFundMe that I have had communication with them. Certainly not anything privileged. Certainly not anything related to information I shouldn't have. However, I can tell you that I can get communications to them. So, you know, if you're thinking about a way to not have to deal with all of this stuff, I can help you make contact. We'll put it that way. I can help you make contact. And I'd be happy to do that. No one wants to see this lawsuit go this way. You guys don't. You know Vic doesn't. The only people who want to see it go this way are people like me. People like the fans who are sick of your garbage and who want blood. Because you're destroying them along with people that they look up to. But we know no one involved wants to go to court over this because you guys didn't think it would happen. So anyway, let's just put it out there. This war chest is climbing, and every single dollar increases the likelihood that you, middle management, editor, executive, blog post writer, that you're on the list. Because as resources increase, so do targets. So anyway, retractions are good ideas. Apologies are good ideas. Those things have a lot of value, especially when a reputation is involved. Think about it. Do you have the money to fund it? All right. Angel of Death Driver says that Sharon BTW account was only made this month. Yeah, it looks fake to me. Derek Gaines donated, but didn't say anything. Thank you very much. Derek Gaines donated again, says it would set a precedent. It absolutely would. Watermelon Platypus says the monkey is from Texas. I get it. I get it. I know. I see. Texas is a great place. Alex Chavez says, so assuming, and by the way, it is funny that this is in Texas, right? It's not going to be in San Francisco or LA or like Portland or Seattle, places where you might have a more liberal jury pool. You're going to be pulling a Texas jury pool on this stuff. You think a mom with a son who's like maybe 18, 25 years old out there who's unmarried trying to date, you think a mom with a son is going to be on your side on this? You think a single guy or a guy with a wife who works around women is going to believe you? You think a woman who's been actually sexually assaulted on that jury, you think that person is going to be sympathetic to you being kissed on the cheek or had fingers in your hair? Think someone who's going to be raped is going to like your likening of even a legitimate hair tug, likening that to rape? You think a victim is going to agree with you on that? There you go. Good luck with that. Good luck with that Texas jury pool. Good luck with that. Good luck convincing a Texas jury where you might just have vigilante justice for a child predator, that this guy's been doing this in the open for years, and someone's brother or dad or uncle didn't show up with a shotgun and shove it in Vic's mouth. Good luck convincing that guy that not a single one of these kids who's been allegedly victimized by Vic has had a parent hear the story and said, now wait a minute, because I can tell you what they're thinking is, my daughter goes to a convention, some creepo shoves his tongue down her throat, my fist goes down his throat. I'll call up my brother Earl. We'll show up at his house. I don't care. I don't need police. You think that's not going to happen? You think you're going to convince someone in Texas that that's not going to happen? Hope you don't know any Texans outside of city limits. Okay. Alex Chavez says, so assuming this goes to court, will a judge literally have to go through a bunch of Twitter screenshots? How would a judge analyze the tweets? Yes. Yes, he literally would have to go through a bunch of Twitter screenshots. His clerk would anyway. And they'll have to present them as evidence the same way they do. Same way they do anything. They'll have to authenticate them. They'll have to try and link them to a real person if they want to use them. You know who's going to bear the burden of that? The defendants. Because the people making the defamation, the potential defamatory statements, those statements are easily verified. They've got blue check marks. We know that Jamie Marchi said what she said. We know that Monica Rial said what she said. We know Monica Rial's husband said what he said. We know all that. What we don't know is what Anime Waifu 2015, the cosplayer, said. We don't know who that even is. And if that's the basis for some support that you're trying to use to prove truth, good luck authenticating it. Then good luck validating that it happened. The burden is on the defaming party to prove the truth of the statement. Vic doesn't have to prove it's false. They have to prove it's true. Blue Core says, what happens if the voice actors start crying in the attorney grilling session? I feel like they will start crying to avoid answering questions. Oh man, crying in deposition? Yeah. Okay. The questions keep coming and you have to answer. Keep crying. You're not in court. There's no badgering a witness in deposition. As long as they're not being visibly or verbally abused, you have to answer the questions. Cry all day. When you here's a tissue, ma'am. Now answer the question, please. Now answer the question, please. That's how it goes. That's how it goes. All right, finally, the Anime Collector says, look at the pictures uploaded on that Sharon BTW account. She has pictures of a yearbook that feature Vic. Yes, I saw it, and I'm not going to pull it up on stream right now because I'm at the end. I'm at the end of my day, and I need some time. My voice needs a little rest because we're live streaming tomorrow with Bonitis. So again, final call, final check on the GoFundMe. We're at $11,275. Thank you to everybody who has donated. If you can't donate, please share it. If you support Vic, if you stand with Vic, share it. That's all. No one expects everybody to donate. If you're not in a place to donate, don't do it. Don't reach into a wallet that's got debt. Don't do that. Don't do that. If you've got $10, you believe in this movement, you believe in Vic, that's when you donate. You don't have the $10, don't do it. No one would ask you to do that. All right, guys. Landon back and James says, we have to fight this. Thanks, Nick, for the stream. You are welcome. Thank you all for showing up. If you like this, if you're new, if you were brought here from another channel and you have not slapped that subscribe button, please do. Please do. There will be lots of coverage on this coming forward. Like and share this. If you need to clip parts of this, just DM me. If you need to clip parts of this and use it in your show, just DM me. That's all I'm going to ask. DM me. I'm 99% going to say yes because I want the message out. If you want to clip it, just DM me and let me know, please. I don't like playing like the copyright and flagging game. I don't like that at all. But yeah, if you want to clip it, just DM me. I'm happy to do it. Happy to provide other material too. And so yeah, stay tuned. Fish the guy 11 says all these hoaxes lately are getting out of hand. Absolutely. The Anime Collector says, so get those archives, people, and send them to rekietalaw@gmail.com with the subject Vic info. Yes, please do that. Watermelon Platypus says, don't give the $10. I'll do it. Thank you, Watermelon Platypus, again, for your massive contributions. I really do appreciate it, buddy. And we appreciate your support. Finally, I'm going to make sure there's nothing left on Stream Me to answer. There are four of them. Pharaoh Owen says, Nick confirmed for last place in the ambulance chase race. Yep, terrible at it. I'm not actually a personal injury attorney very often. Very rare do I do that. So the ambulance chasing job, other people are better at it. They're much better salesmen and they're much better PI people than me. Lodian says, can we roast marshmallows over these N-word corpses? They tend to make everything bad. Maybe we could add sugar. Lodian then says, but we get to throw these derogatory slang words in the oven if we win. We have to win. I can't say those words on stream, buddy. you know the rules of YouTube. But you said them on Stream Me, and that's your prerogative. That hilarious moment, if his friends flipping on him, can be explained by if they found out he voted for Trump or something. I mean, I think maybe he did. I don't know. That would explain a lot, wouldn't it? All right, guys. So last call for chats are all done. Please don't send any more super chats, though I do appreciate every single one of them. Thank you so much. But it is time for me to sign off. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. We'll talk to you guys soon. Check out tomorrow's stream with Bonitis. We're going to talk about problems in the furry community. And then Thursday, it's the Covington Kids. The Covington Kids. All right, y'all. Have a good night. Peace. Peace.